Hey, how are we doing? All right. Is the audio okay? We all good? Put a 1 in the chat if the audio is good, because I never know these days.
How dare you?
Yes. All right. Clickbait. This is not clickbait. I'm above such things, gentlemen. I am well above such things. Oh, this is my iPad. This is how I control the lights in here. Actually, I don't think enough people really realize just how much of a one-man show this whole operation is for me. If you are unaware of where I've been and what I've been doing, I was in Miami just up until last night. As a matter of fact, spent quite a long time on the. Okay, good. Thank you. Got it. I was spending quite a lot of time on airlines, my jet setter lifestyle. I used to think traveling was a great thing. I used to think traveling was like this novelty. Just so you guys are like, okay. Hang on. I got to show you this. This is pretty good. Hang on here. I got to show you this. Okay. Wait. I didn't have time to download the video was like pretty big. So I'm going to show, I'll just share it with you. It's just too easy to share. Where did it go? No, that's not it. Hold on a second. Yeah, we'll get into that today. Yeah, we're going to talk about Gonzo Lira. We're going to talk about Amber Heard. We're going to talk about my brand new book, The Player's Handbook, which is now out and available. We will get to that today as well. I'm trying to think of what else I have on here. I'm going on this is jet lag Rollo right now. So just bear with me today. We're going to play fast and loose, which is always it's always the good ones. So these are always really good. So let's, can we see this? There we go. Oh boy. So, oh man. Okay. I'll just put this up here. Here you go. This was me on, I think what was this? This was Friday night. I think it was Friday night. Yeah. We did a Q&A, and this was, by the way, the reason why I did this is because like today's show, I was baiting you just slightly today is because, where'd it go? There we go. Okay. Because this happened.
Shout out to Freshman, man. You guys have a good day.
Shout out to you, bro.
Cool.
And congrats on that job, bro.
Yeah, congrats.
All right, let's go with he's back on 8579. We got 2 more paid callers.
All right. And then let's hit some free ones too.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, bro.
Caller.
Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah, got you. Go ahead. And we got the likes up for me, guys. We got 3,500 live viewers right now, guys. Please like the video,
man.
Go ahead, ask your question, bro. Sorry.
Yeah, you good. Hey, I just want to say I appreciate you and Rollo, everybody.
See, I was savagely attacked.
Consuming RP content for about 9 months now, and it's pretty much changed my life.
See, unprovoked.
I hung around a lot of blue pill guys. I still got one that's with me. I'm trying to convert him, but he ain't into it right now. But I'm slowly working on.
This is what you got to see on camera
that I got going right now. But my question was, this is for Fresh. So this is kind of like a networking type thing. So
okay.
See, I was savagely, unprovokedly attacked. Just so you know. Yes, I got A-mogged. I got dog-mogged. See, I wasn't lying. That's not clickbait. How was that clickbait? That is in no way clickbait. I was attacked. I was actually attacked in other ways too, but there you go. Now, the reason I'm leading off with that is because I usually have Tom, my guy Tom, do the clips and everything. And I was looking back through some of the analytics of the videos that I was doing. Let's see, since really Tuesday. By the way, if you missed Fresh and Fit on Tuesday for the after hour show, I was on with Ed Lattimore, and I haven't seen Ed in quite some time, so we caught up there, and so we were talking. That was a great show. I did a show with him on Tuesday. Then I did 2 shows on Wednesday. Then I did Adam Sosnick's show on Thursday. If you have not seen that, I've got some clips for that for you guys as well. It was a good show. It was very good. And I made the announcement that was Thursday, and Thursday is when both books dropped. So both versions of this book, Player's Handbook, is now out and available, and I'll do a little bit explain. We're going to talk about what's in the guts of this here today too. This is probably going to be, this is definitely going to be the last book in this series. I can't do much more than 5. I think doing more than 5 might be a little bit of an overkill. In fact, this is almost overkill. But in the series, that's going to be the next one. Yes, I was attacked by a vicious attack dog on Fresh and Fit. Just putting that out there. Not exactly not clickbait. Come on now. Come on.
Say my name.
Yeah. So what did I do? Well, I was out there, and then so that was Thursday. Friday, if you guys didn't catch the show on Friday, I did a Q&A, and that's where that was. That's when I was unprovoked. I was attacked without warning, and we had a good time. Got some new sunglasses, which I don't have in the studio right now, but it was a lot of fun. I like going out to Miami. This was a very productive show. When is the Rational Male box set coming up? Would you like a box set? I think people have asked me if I was going to do like a hardback collection, and the answer is yes. I've had some people ask me about about doing the hardcover. Hardcover is incoming for book one. I have book one right now is in revisions. And not anything content wise, but it is in edits for typos and syntax. And yes, I see you. I see you guys, DDJ, and I see you, Anthony Johnson. I see your one typo report every day or every other day. I understand what you're trying to do. You're trying to get that book suppressed. So kindly fuck off, and just know that the new one will be up probably, well, the revised version anyways, the guts of it will be up probably by Tuesday of this week. So we're already in the works of that. So you're not going to catch me. So you can apply your trolling and your OCD somewhere else. And I'll tell you just exactly what I mean by that here in just a moment. So actually, you know what? Why don't we do that real quickly here? I have, where'd that go? Sorry. Like I said, we're playing fast and loose today. Oh, that's it. All right. So the book has been up for less than, it went, the print book dropped and the Kindle version of it dropped on Thursday. Today is Sunday. It is now 1:12 p.m. here on the West Coast, the left coast. And let's see. And what do we have here? Okay, hang on. There we go. Sorry, I'm just going to put it in as an overlay really quickly here because this guy really wanted your attention. So I'm going to give you his attention. Here, D. Godfrey, Jeffrey, whatever the hell your name is. Here's that attention you ordered. All right. This was on April 23rd. The book dropped on April 22nd. This was the very first review of the book. So I'd like you guys to all give a round of applause to our good friend Godfrey here. He is a speed reader. He managed to read, here we go. He managed to read 500 pages in approximately 12 hours, if that, maybe. So here's that attention you wanted. And this is exactly, and when people say, well, Rollo, why did you do the pre-sale? Rollo, why didn't you drop the Kindle and the print at the same time? Rollo, where's the Audible? That's why. The thing that sucks about, now I love Amazon. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely love Amazon. I could not do what I do without them. Jeff Bezos, I would love to shake your hand, my friend. I'd give you my book. But, there's a lot of flaws in the system here. And the flaws in the system are is that the rating system on Amazon has been a mess, a hot mess for a long time. Pretty much all you can do on the rating and review system on Amazon is either upvote or upvote. That's it. I found this helpful, and that's all you can put on there. So when you go and you put a review on there, and even if you are a registered or a verified purchaser of that book, I take reviews on Amazon. I've been doing this for 5 books now. I've been a published author since 2013. And I will tell you this is that whenever I look at book reviews, whether it's Goodreads or even like Goodreads is a little bit better, I think. Those are the only 2 places I really look for reviews on my book is Goodreads and on Amazon. And of course, what happens is whenever you put out a new book, you're going to get trolls who are going to immediately go on there and they're going to do what's called review bombing. All right. Now, what is review bombing? Well, thank you for asking, because I have been dealing with this ever since book 1. And this was something I actually had to talk about with Vox Day back in the old days, and because Vox has been a published author for a very long time. And so he told me, he said, you know what, review bombing and piracy are something you're just going to have to deal with in the age of on-demand printing. And I know that Kindle tries to prevent at least verified downloading of their Kindle, of their products. They make a good effort at that, but the fact remains that people are still there's converters, and there's really not much you can do about it. And so of course everyone thinks that the Rational Male ought to be available for free. And I really wish I could do that, but I do a lot of work on these things, and I've been doing this for 20 years, and I don't feel bad about charging for a book. And so when everybody says, well, Rollo, he's just schlepping out books all the time, that's all he does. Yeah, I'm an author. That's what we do. I mean, you could say the same. We're going to say the same thing about Baldacci or Patterson or Stephen King, or name your favorite author. They're just shelling out books all the time. Yes, because that's what they do. All right. I like to think I provide some kind of value. Also, people are going to wonder why the print book is at $22.95, because I am not allowed to sell it for anything less than $18 right now. Thank you very much. That is also part of the economy right now. Finding paper, finding people, doing the actual press work right now is becoming more and more expensive. So that's why. It's also why I did the pre-sale for the Kindle. So if you like the Kindle, if you have a Kindle reader, if you like to read things on your laptop or on your reader or whatever it is, great. Most people really like the book, because what happens is then they go back in and they highlight parts of it, or they come back to it. As I've said about the first book is, and I would like to think this one is too, but the first book is a living text. Okay, people keep coming back to it. They call it the Bible of the Manosphere, the Bible of the Red Pill, for a reason, because it's not a book that you just read once and put on your shelf and call it good. People come back to it. They highlight parts of it. Every guy I have ever signed a book for has had that book since like 2013 or 2014. And they're dog-eared, and they're highlighted in 3 different kind of highlighter colors, and they're underlined, and they are really anxious to have that book signed. And so I'm cool with that. No problem. But and I push the print books more than anything else. And I do that because I do the layout, and I do the covers, and I do I'm a designer, as you know, art director, guilty as charged. Yes. You want to know one of the reasons why my books take a bit longer than most other books is because I don't just simply take the text and run it through some sort of processor and have it and call it good. I format everything. If you go and you look through every one of my books, I use maybe this is schmaltzy now, but I use Trajan Pro for my titles, and I use in the beginning I used to use Times New Roman. Now I use Adobe Caslon Pro as my text. I do this because I am a designer. I am an artist. I have been doing this for a long time. So all the stuff that you see inside there, this guy, that's why it takes so long. Going back over it, going through Grammarly, going through an editor, and then having it processed. So it's a process, and it takes a lot of time. So when I see, and I've had this conversation with Ryan Stone before, when I see guys who are just sort of jumped into the manosphere to earn a fast buck, right? Or they see that MGTOW is a trending tag on YouTube. So I'm going to call myself an author, and I'm going to produce a 97-page the book on whatever, and hire a ghostwriter out of China. And yes, you can actually hire copywriters and ghostwriters to write in this genre. I know, because I have people throw these PDFs, these 97-page pamphlets that people want to pass off as their book, I'm a published author, right? No, you're not. You're lifting my material and putting it into your book. Or rewriting it, or getting somebody in Mumbai to do it for you, and calling yourself an author. That's not, or putting it on Gumroad or whatever it is that you're doing. So that, to me, that's not being an author. There are writers and there are authors or copywriters, right? Anybody can write a tweet. Anybody can write a newsletter. Anybody can write, they can start up, their Substack. Substack's the new hotness, right? Like blogs, like nobody writes blogs. Does anybody write blogs anymore? I sure don't. I haven't hit my blog in so long. I'm coming back to it though. So, you know, where I develop my ideas primarily is on the blog, and I have not written on the blog since like July of last year, and I feel really bad about that. But I've been working on this, so I will definitely be coming back to therationalmale.com, which is my blog, and I will be doing some more regular essays very soon. I'm going to update the site. I'm actually updating pretty much everything I have right now as a result of having the 5th and final book out. However, you've got to, I think one of the things that is really important especially in the manosphere right now, or what's become the manosphere. I don't even really know what to call it, because I think the manosphere, like people want to say the male self-improvement sphere, or they don't want to call it red pill anymore, or red pill's like a bad word, or those manosphere guys. Like when you think manosphere, now you think incels. Now you think, congratulations, black pill doomers, mission accomplished. You completely shitted up the manosphere. Well done. You can go home now. Go have a beer. It's Miller time for you. Because now in the mainstream, when anybody brings up the term manosphere, or they bring up the red pill, they get a bad taste in their mouth. And that's by design. And when I was saying, you know, this time last year, when Fresh and Myron were asking me, like, you know, is the red pill going to go mainstream? Well, yeah, it is. But they don't know it's red pill. They'll call it male self-improvement, right? They'll say, well, we're trying to make men better men. Well, if by that you mean you want to make better men by educating them, then I'm all on board with that. If it's a positivity hustle, if it's quality woman hustle, if it's a lifestyle hustle, if it's a catharsis hustle, if it's a affirm my ideology hustle, then no, I'm not on board. Anyways, so as far as, you know, developing a book and writing a book, it's a process, and it takes a long time. And to be an author is actually a skill, and it's an art, and it's a lot of hard work. Was it I forget who said, was it Ernest Hemingway? I forget. I'm going to butcher this quote, but it's you know, all you have to do to be a writer, all you have to do is get in front of a typewriter and bleed. And I didn't really understand that until my 4th book, until Religion. Religion is 400 pages. And as you guys have probably already know, I put that out in January of last year. But I think what happens is when people get a book and they have it sitting in their hot little hands and they're starting to read it and tear through it, it's almost like doing the next season of Ozark, right? Or doing the next season of like Game of Thrones. And people just devour it like almost instantaneously now. And they'll eat it up, and then they'll okay, where's book 6, Rollo? That's what they said right after I was done with Religion, which is my 4th book. And I did I would say, how much of that? At least 90% of that is all original material. And it had to come from 3 years of research, 3 years of interviews, 3 years of doing podcasts, talking to Pat Campbell, having him go through his brain cancer, talking to Rabbi Kaba, talking to Abu American and other Muslims, and talking to people of various religions. It took a lot of friggin' work to complete that book, to put that out there, so that I had something that was cohesive, something that was comprehensive, something that I'm not trying to dumb down the language, because it's almost impossible to dumb down language for that, but you have to make things simplified. I don't know if I've mentioned this. Maybe I did. I think I mentioned this when Ryan Stone has been on this show before, but around 2016, 2017, I started reading a book, and it was called, yes, I have seen Tech Lead. I'll talk about that here in a second. Thank you, John Goad. I'm going to take questions today. We're going to do a little bit of a Q&A today. I think half of today's show, I'm just going to talk about a few things. I want to get to some current affairs and events, and then I'll take some calls from you guys, or calls. I'll take you some super chats from you guys later on. So when I'm doing something like that, when I'm building a book, when I'm creating, I'm putting things together, it takes time. Good cooking takes time, but you reading it is like that. And so what do we do when we binge watch a show? Is we watch the whole thing. You know, how many episodes are there? There's 9 episodes. Okay, we're going to watch 3 tonight, 3 tomorrow, 3 after that, whatever. And you're going to go, and then you're going to be like, damn, I got to wait a whole nother year until the next season of whatever it is that you're hooked on. Now imagine being the writer and the producers and the actors and the directors, and everybody has to go into that. We don't even do movies anymore. We just do series now. And I think maybe I got kind of caught up in that. And so when I was doing like the first book, and then I got into the second and the third and everything else, it's a process. I'm a little bit better, but like I was going to here to finish the thought. 2015, 2016, I think I began reading this book, and it's called Writing Without Bullshit. And it is by an author by the name of Josh Bernoff. And if you are an aspiring writer, I encourage you. In fact, I implore you to read that book, because when I was writing the essays and I was writing the original conversations that I was having on So Suave that turned into blog posts, which then turned into chapters in the first book, a lot of people accused me of saying, "Oh, you're using these $10 words because you want people to think you're smart." Well, excuse me, but I wasn't trying to. I'm not trying to say, "Oh, well, Rollo's using these big, multi-syllable words." That's not what it is. But I was of the mind that I didn't want to write down to my audience. I don't want to presume that people are idiots. I hate that. I don't. They always told me. I remember when I was at university and I was taking just my English classes, just the core classes. And if you're an English major, or if you're a journalism major, or you're a communications major, one of the things that they start you off with is write to an 8th grade level, because that's primarily where most of people in Western societies are at. I would argue that it's probably more like a 6th grade level, but 8th grade, you're okay. Maybe that's a good happy medium right there. But I wasn't willing to do that, because I was writing in terms of these were big scientific words, right? Like hypergamy had to be something that was redefined, that the definition was broadened to incorporate and encompass what I felt like it needed to encompass. But for me to go and say hypergamy, now everybody's like, well, some sociologist in 1955 who was studying the caste system in India at the time, he's the one who really came up with that. So you don't know what the hell you're talking about. And I'm like, it's the English language. We can broaden definitions. There are words that have multiple meanings to those particular words. And fortunately, I think in the last 6 or 7 years, anyways, hypergamy has been referred to as alpha, seed, and beta need, right? It's women's innate mating strategy. Whether or not the scientist, the psychologist, the biologist recognizes that or not it might be something. But how dare that old Rollo Tomassi, try to redefine something that, we don't, he's trying to reinvent the wheel. I'm not. Or for instance, I'll use terms like, alpha widows, or I'll use a term like the war brides dynamic, which was something that I coined way back in the So Suave days. And then I brought it to the Rational Male blog. And then it ended up in, well, not only this book, but also in the first book as well. Now I hear Kevin Samuels will use it, and everybody thinks Kevin came up with the word. And it's like, I don't really care, because I think it should be open source. But now I've been doing this and writing about these topics for so long that people accuse me of plagiarizing myself. Hey, Rollo, that guy Rollo came up with that. How dare you use it? Dude. Hey, it's getting to the point where I have to sort of I have to correct people in their misunderstanding of terms that I've been using really since 2008, somewhere around maybe 2006, something like that. Certainly hypergamy, right? And does that mean, okay, is that a humble brag? Am I glossing myself? No, I'm just saying that I've been around and doing this long enough that it becomes like, it comes back at me. Like people think that like I'm plagiarizing someone else, or I'm like people who lifted it from me. And when I use it, they think I'm lifting it from them. That's what I'm talking about. And there's really no way around that. It's just something I have to laugh off and just move on to the next thing. But it's interesting to see how things evolved. However, so back in 2013, I'm using all these $10 words. I'm trying to use things. I'm presuming that people have a good, fundamental understanding of the English language. And by the way, I think it's a tragedy that we have to write to an 8th grade level so that most people can understand, what the ideas that are being expressed. Okay. I think that the English language is a very rich language, and I think that we should be using words and terms that we don't necessarily use all the time, but we don't. And the longer we keep writing to an 8th grade level, the smaller the vocabulary is going to be of the average U.S. citizen, and certainly people in the English-speaking world, right? So, but I can't follow along in that. And it took me Writing Without Bullshit to really realize that it's not about how the ideas are expressed rather than the importance of those ideas to begin with. So if you have noticed a change, let's just say, in my writer's voice from, let's say, book 3, which is Positive Masculinity, to Religion, book 4, and to the next one, which is The Player's Handbook, book 5, I am following what Josh Bernoff has called the prime directive, I guess, of writers, which is don't waste the reader's time. And I think I have successfully done so with this book. It is 500 pages, but it is 500 pages because I increased the point size of the font to 12 points, and it's got about 17 point leading. So it's, the line spacing's open enough, because that is the number one complaint that I got. Well, certainly from the first book, but from all of my books, everyone wants to say, well, how come you all use such a small type? How come this has the syntax here or the typo there or whatever else? And I'll tell you this right now, when I started writing, when I started putting out books, certainly the first one, I thought that was going to be the only book I ever wrote. I wasn't trying to, my goal wasn't to become Rollo Tomassi, the author, back then. It was just simply to get these things out to people, get that information out, make it available as widely as I possibly could. And then people ask me, hey, I wish I would have known this stuff sooner. I wish I would have known all this stuff. And, hey, you saved my life. When should I give this book to my kids so they can avoid the pitfalls that I fell into? And then, of course, that spawned book 2, book 3. And then book 4 was, hey, I'm Amish. I'm a Muslim. I'm a born again Christian. I don't believe in premarital sex, but everything you say about the red pill and intersexual dynamics and women's nature and men's nature, it rings true. Maybe you think that your religion is the red pill religion as it is anyways, and you want some sort of affirmation in that. But I had people asking me how to sort of reconcile the red pill with their religion. That's why I wrote book 4. And this book right here, book number 5, which is The Player's Handbook. And you'll see I've got the press copy. This is the copy so here's the process. I don't know if you don't know anything about writing, here's what it is. The process of doing a book, by the way, let me show it back. So you got to get your ISBN number, all this good stuff. This is book number 5, and it's not the last book I'll ever write, but it is the last book in the Rational Male series. So this is, I think, going to put the final period at the end of the Rational Male series. This is The Player's Handbook. The reason, okay, so why does Rollo write these books? Okay, well, here's the reason. I had so many people asking me, Rollo, what's the best book to learn game? And the only thing I could say was Mystery Method at that time, or I would say Troy Francis's books are really good. I think James Tusk has a book or 2 out. John from Modern Life Dating, he does not have a book, but he would be somebody I would refer you to if you wanted to learn, say, like Body Language Mastery was a great course. And so there's just like these smatterings of books, and some of them I'm aware of, some of them I've read, some of them I've just like picked up little bits and pieces of. And I thought, you know what, there needs to be a codex, right? There needs to be a textbook as to why this stuff works and why this stuff does not work, or what's the founding principles behind all of these things you hear about. And so when I talk about money, muscles, and game, which is, the trifecta, right? That's in the male self-improvement sphere. That's what most people want, or most guys want. They're deficient in one of those 3 areas. Now, I know that John from Modern Life Dating has mentioned frame, and I think it should be mentioned within those 3. But however, I would say that the encompassing aspect of all 3 of those is your frame. I don't think frame is something that is separate from all of those things. I think that frame is what you build as a result of money, muscles, and game. So that's my concept of it anyways. And the reason I say that is because when you have those 3 elements in your life that are maximized, or at least you're getting up to the potential of what you can make those things, that's when you create a world a frame into which a woman wants to enter. So that's my thinking in all of this. I don't think frame is something that should be separate from that, but I think that money, muscles, and game is frame. So when I talk about when we talk about money, that's easy. I can talk. I've been making inroads with Robert Kiyosaki. I talked to him all that. In fact, I was talking to him in the Denver airport yesterday. Let's see. Oh, and so George Gammon, I'm working with the guys from the Collective. I go to the Rebel Capitalist conventions. By the way, there'll be another one in June, at the end of June. Go check out the Rebel Capitalist at George Gammon's site. I'm going to be doing another workshop there. And I'm also going to be speaking at his private event, which is the Collective. That'll be in May, and May 14th and 15th. That'll be in Dallas, Texas. And but that's like monetary stuff. And so when people ask me like, Rollo, when are you going to run out of red pill topics to talk about? I'm going to say never, because there's a lot of crossover into other spheres. So that's the money side, right? And you could say like Adam Sosnick, certainly Patrick Bet-David, and the people that he associates with. And then there's the muscle side, right? I'll bring up, Mark Bell. I was on Mark Bell's Powerhouse podcast not too long ago. I know a good number of people who are in the fitness sphere. Myron used to be, that's why they call him Fit of Fresh and Fit. I think he's still doing it somewhat, but there's guys who specialize in the fitness side of things. There's the guys who want to tell you what the next diet is or what the next, workout regimen is. And there's a lot of guys who do that very effectively. I'm not going to ever try to convince you to do max OT workouts, which is what I do. And there's other aspects of that as well. I think you can kind of cross fitness into like self-defense. You could probably put like martial arts or MMA. I would definitely put John Fitch from Rule Zero. I would definitely put him into the fitness side of things, simply because it's physique, it's physical. Drew Bay, if you've ever watched me on the Masculine Geeks, Drew Bay is a really good friend of mine. He has a really good fitness program. So when people say, Rollo, what's the best fitness program thing? I'm not going to say, oh, here, I've got something for you. That's not me. I'm the game side of things. All right. I'm the guy who's going to tell you about intersexual dynamics. I'm going to give you the dots to connect. That's my side of that trifecta. So if you want to know how to get your fat ass in the gym, I'm probably going to direct you towards, Drew Bay or Mark Bell, or I'm going to direct you to John Fitch. If you want to learn self-defense, I'm going to point you in that direction. And when you ask me about money, I might refer you to Rich Cooper. I might refer you to George Gammon, certainly Robert Kiyosaki. There's a lot of guys, and that's the side of things I'm getting much more familiar with these days. But I'm not going to write a book on macroeconomics of the red pill. Okay. I'm not going to, that's not in my wheelhouse, but I at least I know where to refer you to. But of those three, of money, muscles, and game tends to be the one that is the most enigmatic. And by that, I mean, people are like just dumbfounded, mysterious. It sounds like if I could just learn game, then I would have everything. But they don't want to necessarily go associate with pickup artists, because a pickup artist has it smells like pickup artist in here, right? They don't like that idea. It sounds schmaltzy. It sounds 2003. It sounds 2002. When people have an idea in their head of what is game, Rollo, people automatically think of the pickup artist. They think of mystery. They think of, God forbid, they think of, Owen Cook. They think of guys who are like maybe Tucker Max, right? I'm trying to think of who else would be sort of, you could say Neil Strauss, although Neil Strauss has sort of like flipped back to whatever he was before he actually got into game. What's funny to me is when you look at Neil Strauss and you look at what he's written from prior to the game and then after the game, it's like what he was before, he became something better and something greater than he was, and then he went back to being that same kind of like, chin cell, that it's amazing to see those transformations. And I will say this, I don't know if I am, maybe I am. I think I'm probably one of the longest lasting guys in the seduction community and the red pill community. And again, I've never been a pickup artist. I'm not going to be your wingman or anything like that. I've never done that. I just study this stuff. And I've been around and been in this sphere long enough to speak very, very knowledgeably about it. So what I see is these guys going through these cycles and going through these phases. I can remember when Tucker Max had, was it I Hope They Serve Beer in Hell, and he was, it was him and some chick with like a blank face and says your name here kind of thing. And it was amazing to me to see the transformation back to like sort of this supposedly responsible guy once he knocked some girl up, and now it's like he's got the mating mind or whatever. He got hooked up with Dr. Jeff Miller, which was another can of worms. But he puts out another book, and it's his wife's face, and his face is blanked out, and it says your face here. That right there in a nutshell shows you what the cycle is. I've shown it before. He's like Tucker Max is like the epitome of the purple pill to me. But whatever, things come in cycles, and I've seen them often enough to know what to expect when they come back around. So when people ask me, Rollo, how do I learn game? It seems like a mystery to them. They think it seems like a mystery to them because it's the hardest thing. It's the hardest one to understand. And when people come into this sphere, when they come into the red pill sphere, I tend to tell them, first and foremost, get your ass in the gym, because most likely you're overweight. If like statistically speaking, I err on the side of you're fat. Get in the gym. Start doing that first, because then of course you feel better about yourself. You get the endorphins going. You get the dopamine going. You get the positive feedback loop going because you're doing something for yourself. And I always encourage the physique side of things. If you're going to get into personal change, there's two things I think that you need to start with. One is your physique and your diet, and that the muscles side of Money, Muscles, and Game. I think that should always be the place that most guys start. Very few guys who find the manosphere or find the red pill are guys who are already getting laid, and they're already in great shape, and they got their shit together, and they got a lot of money. They're not looking for this. They're not looking for Rollo Tomassi. They got it. I got this taken care of. Don't worry. I can't believe other people can't figure this out. But most guys, when they find this, they're at a point of trauma. They're at a point of crisis. And usually it's because they had something going and it fell apart. 90% of the time is because they're out of shape. They're underemployed, if they're employed at all, and they're sedating themselves. And those are the things I think most guys should start with. So get in the gym, and stop sedating yourself. Stop drinking. Seriously. And this is coming from a guy who's worked for almost 25 years in the liquor industry. Stop drinking. Really. And not because you have a problem, not because you got a DUI, just because you are a more productive human being when you are not sedating yourself. And sedation can be lots of different things. And people say, well, Rollo, why are you against weed? I'm against legalizing weed. I'm against like the ease with which we can get weed, that you can get THC. Right. Yes, I know. CBD is great for you. Give it to my dog, whatever. Okay. That's hemp. We're going to make rope out of hemp. Great. Go make rope out of hemp. I'm cool with that. But you know what? Don't make rope out of hemp while you're stoned. Don't give CBD to your dog, to Ned, when you're stoned. Okay. Because it becomes habituated. It's yes, I know it's not a physical, quote unquote, physical addiction, but it is habituation. And you can get into bad habits, and people say, oh, it's a gateway drug. I don't care. If you like to smoke weed, I've smoked weed. All right. I've done lots of drugs in my past as well. I've drank trust me, 25 years in the wine and spirits industry. I've had my fair share of booze. I stopped drinking right around 2017 because I started writing book 4. And I'm a more productive, better writer when I'm not haven't tied one on a Friday night or a Saturday night. And then I got to recover, and then I got to get back into the groove and back into the zone when I need to write. So I'm just like, and I told myself this, I told my wife this, I said, I'm not going to have anything to drink until I'm done with book 4. And lo and behold, last year, around January of last year, book 4 dropped. And I was like, I didn't see any reason to come back to it. I never had a problem, never got a DUI, nothing. I just wanted to be a more productive human being. And lo and behold, I became more productive. And so I stopped sedating myself to a minor degree. I didn't really have much sedations as it is anyways. But I do know that a lot of guys have a lot of sedation. And that's one of the things I always talk about whenever I was on with Patrick Bet David, I'm on with Sosnick, I'm on with anybody. I'll tell you the same thing. What should guys do today, Rollo? Stop sedating yourself. That's number 1. Get into the gym, motivate yourself, get going. change your mind about yourself. In that clip that I showed you with Hero when when I was savagely attacked. That's what we were talking. We just right before that merciless attack, we had a guy call in and saying, you saved my life, and you guys were the catalysts for me changing my mind about myself. And that's what I told him. I said that personal change doesn't happen until you change your mind about yourself. Until you say, you know what, I'm going to be conceited enough, self-important enough to say, I'm going to think differently about myself. And I think that's the hardest part for most guys. It's not even so much getting into the gym and getting into a regular thing, or even getting rid of your sedations. It's more about changing your mind about yourself. And I know that sounds kind of like stupid Tony Robbins-ish kind of shit, but it's really true. You have to decide at some point, what is it? It has to start somewhere. It has to start sometime. What better place than here? What better time than now, right? I can motivate you. I can kick you in the ass. I don't keep any motivational posters up in my studio. I have this one quote, and I put this up on Instagram, and this is from Robert Greene's Mastery. The only quote that I have, and I printed it off, I just cut it out and I taped it to my iMac here. It says, "Resist the lure of easing up on your focus." That's the only motivational quote you will find in this entire house. And that's really what it is. Keep your foot on the damn accelerator. And as a result, you'll be more productive. You'll be more creative. You'll find that you have a different outlook, I think, on life. If you change your mind about yourself and you don't ease up on your focus, that's where people screw up. That's where people get sort of hopeless and despondent and nihilistic about things. So, but again, my first advice. I don't give advice. I don't give prescriptions. But if I was to give you a prescription, I say get in the gym and give up your sedations. Whether that's World of Warcraft, whether that's weed, whether that's your simping for OnlyFans girls, that's a sedation. Anything that is like an escape that you are quote unquote addicted to. And I don't want to say I hate using that term. Let's just say you are habituated to, because I think that is a better definition. Anything you're habituated to, your sedations that you're habituated to, look at those and resolve those first. Get into the gym and start motivating. And then what will happen is you will get into positive feedback loops. So that's the physical side. And then the financial side, usually, people say, "Hey, Rollo, I'm in great shape, but I really need to get my bills in order. I really need to. I'm an entrepreneur. How do I be a better entrepreneur?" Well, you're not gonna. I can talk to you about what my views about money are. But I would refer you to people like, maybe Rich Cooper, maybe Tom Wheelwright, who is the accountant, the financial guy for Robert Kiyosaki, maybe Ken McElroy, certainly George Gammon, if you want to get into the larger, macroeconomics of things. But personally, like that's the question I get the most from guys who are wanting the economic side of things. They want a prepared plan of action. Like, how do I get into drop shipping? Don't talk to me, man. How do I get into a hustle? How do I do? I mean, I could tell you how to do some things. I've had people hit me up about how to be a graphic designer, how to get into like doing video, and that I can certainly speak to. How do you do those great thumbnails that are clickbait thumbnails, Rollo? Well, that I can talk to you about. But as far as you driving towards a passion or an ambition, I can give you the nuts and bolts and I can put some dots in front of you so that you can connect those dots for yourself. But I don't have a 12-step plan for you to go from being, a broke ass dude and making a shit ton of money. In fact, anybody who is selling you stuff like that, I would be wary of, because they're giving you their plan for success and not your plan for success. So that's another reason why I don't do prescriptions. Now, so those are those things. Now, the game side of things is the one that people feel like they have the least amount of control over. And I mentioned this in the introduction of the new book, The Player's Handbook. And in there, I make mention of this too. So I had to cover my ass, right? I had to cover my bases in the introduction here. This book, first and foremost, the one thing I want you guys to know the most is it is not your therapist. It is not therapy. If you are autistic, if you have Asperger's syndrome, if you like, oh, Rollo, I need to learn games so I can talk to the girls. This is not going to cure you. All right. I have considered that in a lot of the chapters, and I've wrote directly to guys who are, because I know what's going to happen. Guys are going to read this book and they're going to think that it's going to, in some way, make them or turn them from being socially awkward into being a ladies' man. And I can't guarantee that. And I'm not going to guarantee that, but I do account for that in the book. So just that, I wanted to point that out from the outset here. It's not therapy. It is not a cure for any serious psychological malady you have. You have seen me time and time again on this show present you with the, maybe I still have it. Do I have the stats of that? Oh, I don't have it up. Oh, well. The incidence of autism in primarily young men today from 2000 up to 2020 in a 20-year span, and it spikes just like crazy. So I have to remember that these are the guys who are going to be looking for this stuff and thinking that, well, I don't want to get in shape. I don't want to give up my sedation. I make enough money as a coder or whatever. So all I really need to do is learn game and then I'll get laid. No, you need the whole package: money, muscles, and game. And yes, I've talked about looks in here. Yes, I've talked about looks maxers. Yes, I've talked about finances. I've covered all those bases in this book. Now, what is this book about? It is about the nuts and bolts and the mechanics of game. It is the nuts and bolts of applications of red pill knowledge, of red pill theory, towards the actionable information, right? We talk about that on Rule Zero. It is why things work, not how you're going to go and do it. Now, I give you some suggestions for sure. Do I quote Mystery Method in there? Yeah, I quote Mystery Method in there. I quote Royce in here. I quote lots of different people. I quote Nick Krauser. I quote Alan Roger Curry. I quote all these guys. So don't come at me saying, well, he doesn't acknowledge Patrice O'Neill. Wrong. He doesn't acknowledge Tom Likas. Tom Likas, by the way, I acknowledge in the first, I think it was in the first book or the second book. I talked directly about Tom Likas in there, but nobody, you know why people come at me for that? Because you didn't read the goddamn book. That's why. If you're going to come at me, read the book. People keep saying, well, how come you won't debate Kevin Ray Wilder? How come you won't debate what that guy is, the lazy eye dude from Playing with Fire, right? How come you won't debate him? About what? Tell me what. It's 2022. It is April 24th, 2022. I am still waiting for that topic, man. Tell me what the topic is. Tell me what I'm wrong about, and I will be happy as a pig in shit to debate you about that topic. But if your topic is, married, well done. Yes, congratulations for figuring that out. Your real name isn't Rollo Tomassi. You're not really Italian. A very good boy. Good. You figured it out. Thanks. Yes. And you know who else his real name isn't real? Isn't real? Sterling Cooper. Right. Okay. That's not his real name. I know what his real name is. Is Stephen King really his real name? I don't know. But people use writers' names all the time. Except for Rollo Tomassi, he can't. Except for oh man, I found it's like my demon name, right? I know what his real name is. Now I have control over the demon. As I said, incidence of autism has gone up quite astronomically since 2000. So you didn't get me. Thanks. Right. But anyways, getting back to the book, I talk about a lot of different things in here. I try to break down all of the major aspects of game, and I update things for you as well. Now, is Mystery Method still valid? Absolutely it is. I think a lot of the fundamentals of it is he broke ground that nobody else has broken. But is it relevant in a 2022 society? I think yes. I think a lot of it is. However, it does need to be updated as far as the application is concerned. And so that's what I've done in a lot of this. Like one of the very first chapters. Which chapter was it? I think it was. I'll run down a few of these if you'd like me to. Oh, the very first chapter. Okay. I broke this down, by the way, into 5 separate books. or 5 separate like sections, I guess. And then there's chapters within those sections. So first, the first section, well, first is the introduction. And then there's the second, this section is the rules of engagement. And this is like why game works or what game's really about. I'm trying to explain the nature of game in the very first section. All right. The very first chapter, let me can't even see it. Very first chapter in the book is called brand management. And how many times have I said that dating in the 21st century is really brand management? It's been really that since I would argue since like 2005 or like, well, when was Facebook's like 2006. But when we're talking about like dating apps, like we don't even think in terms of like OkCupid anymore, or Match.com, or you know, plenty of fish even still around anymore. We think about things like when we talk about online dating, it's about Instagram now, or it's about apps. We've gone from writing these really intense, insightful paragraphs about ourselves. Like if you go and you read, here's what needs to be updated, by the way. If you go and you read in the first book, I have a chapter in there called Qualities of the Prince. And it's probably the most humorous part of that book, where I did an experiment with some of the guys in SoSwap back in the day, where we went up, I think it was on Plenty of Fish, maybe it was OkCupid. And somebody sent me this chick's dating profile, and it was very demanding, very hubristic, very entitled. And like, I'm a princess and I need this. And, you know, my kids come first, and I'm, you know, I've got an education, and if you're not like this, you better move. And so it was like this whole big diatribe, a very long, you know, dating profile. And so what I did was I took her dating profile and all her stuff, and I turned it around, and I just basically flipped the script so it's more masculine, right? And here's what I'm a prince, and here's what I expect from my woman. Here's what I expect from my princess, whatever. And you better be thin, you better have long hair, you better look good, you better have this, you know, at least a B cup, you know, that. So I was very specific in the same sense, on the same level of detail that she was. And if you read the book, you'll understand it was one of the most humorous responses I ever got. That I couldn't do that today. That wouldn't make sense to most, and certainly going forward into the 2020s and this next decade, people will laugh at it because that's how we used to do things. But nobody does dating profiles like that anymore. That will never come my way. What I get now is I get TikTok videos. Can you believe this bitch? Can you believe this is what she's talking about? This is what she wants. Or a Tinder profile, or a Hinge, or Bumble, or God, you know, seeking arrangements, right? You'll see that profile, or you'll see the, and it's no longer this long, insightful thing. It's like, put those pictures up there, and are you hot? It's like Hot or Not. Remember Hot or Not from way back in the day? Maybe you don't, because Gen Z probably doesn't even remember hotornot.com, which used to be pictures of like casual pictures of people, and people would rate how hot that girl is or how hot that guy was. I don't know if that's even still in existence anymore. Maybe it is. There used to be a site called Hot Chicks with Douchebags too. And you had to rate the douchebag. But those sites seem like quaint, right? Because right now it's no longer about writing these insightful, you know, things, profiles. It's like, okay, is he hot? No. Okay. Let me look. And that's all it is. It's all image based. It's all perception based. And I'll tell you what's really interesting. Put that back there. Is that unless Tinder is almost an outlier in that sense, because what is Hinge and Bumble? It's like the woman has to be the one who's the initiator. She has to be the one who's going, and it's all based on image, and it's all based on perception. It's no longer based on like, you know, having an insightful profile, or, oh, I really like to think I want to get to know this person. Nobody cares. It's all about image. It's all about Facetune. It's all about, rejiggering your pictures so that they have the max. You're curating your picture. You're curating your gallery of pictures on Instagram, so people will think you're cool enough to go and fuck, so that you're cool enough to go and have a relationship with. Oh, he's on a yacht party. Oh, he must be important. I guess I'll go out with him. I cover that there in brand management. And that's just one example of how I update the mechanics and the understanding of game up to 2022. So it's no longer about an F close. This is mystery method, right? It's no longer about an F close, which is having sex with a girl. It's no longer about a number close. It's no longer about a kiss close, because those are meaningless. And by the way, Roosh was right about this back in 2012 when he made these predictions. You have to have what fame plus game is going to be necessary in the future to, have effective game or to, get into a relationship. And it's really what it is. Like if you don't have a blue check mark, and depend on the social circle you're in, if you're a guy with fewer than, I don't know, 8,000, followers on Instagram, then you're not worth even responding to. And that's kind of e-fame, and it's kind of stupid, and it's vapid. I agree, 100% agree, but that's where we're at. And that's the perceptual nature of the dating, of the sexual marketplace right now. You got a blue check mark. Oh man, that's awesome. You got on any platform, right? I just passed, by the way, I just got past 100,000 followers on Twitter, and
say my name.
And I still don't have a blue check mark, and nor do I want one, because as Hotep Jesus has said, the blue check mark is the mark of the devil. I'm not interested. And people keep asking me, well, when are you going to get verified on Instagram? Never. I don't want to be. I'm glad to be sort of under the radar in that sense. I could do it right now if I wanted to, but I'm not going to do that. I've got over 100,000 on what am I at? 166, I think, 167,000 on this channel. And then my clips channel is I think we're at 77 or 78. I will probably be at 100,000 in the clips channel probably by this summer, I think. And my books are very well received. I could very easily leverage that in the sexual marketplace were I to do so with a blue check mark here or whatever. I would very easily be able to play the game pretty well. According to the rules of engagement, sure, brand management. So that's an aspect of game that I don't think enough people have really sort of absorbed or have considered today. And I've yet to find a book that was a comprehensive textbook on game. And by textbook, I mean this, not a how-to book, but a why it works book. And that's, I think, the number one take-home lesson that I think people need to remember about this book. So that's why when this guy, where do you go? That's how I know. And this guy had not read the book, right? This book is utterly ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous. The entire premise lacks even an understanding of even basic male-female relationships. Dude, do you know who I am? Men new to the game should practice on suboptimal fat women before they move on to prime women. Yo, thank you for quoting that out of context. Because here's the thing, and as I was saying before, this is a why it works book. This is what people have said book, and now I'm connecting those dots. But if you're going to take shit out of context like that, just to throw shade at me, I'm going to call your dumb ass out. Congratulations. I do not know how you read a book that thick in 12 hours. I mean, maybe you had that time. Shit, I don't even think I could do that. I think I could get maybe through half of this in that amount of time. Now, again, I didn't fatten this up because I was trying to push as much crap on you as I possibly could. I just tried to make the page legible. If you want it smaller, buy the Kindle. You can have a 400, 300 page book. But that's what it's about. It's not about, here's how you do things. Go out there and fuck fatties. That'll teach you. That's not what I said. And that's not what well, maybe you don't. Maybe you don't know, because clearly you didn't read a 500 page book in that amount of time. No, you went on and decided to go and throw shade at me so that all your friends can go and upvote that stupid review. So it's the first one that pops up whenever that book comes up, right? Right? Tell me I'm wrong, please. I'll be happy to listen to how I'm wrong and how I was an earnest review. Get the fuck out of here. But that's what I deal with on a daily basis. This is welcome to my life. And I knew that was going to happen. But this is not a how-to book. This isn't like, okay, step 1, do this. Step 2, do this. 12 rules for life, 12 rules for game. That's not what this is. This is when I look at things like, let's see, we can just go through some of these topics here. The game tactics one, I think, is going to be the one that's going to really throw people for a loop. But, rules of engagement, when I was talking about brand management, I'm trying to sort of put a preface here and saying, like, we do things differently now. And you know who woke me up to that? Myron and Fresh, John from Modern Life Dating, Troy and James Tusk for sure. Definitely guys in the game like Justin Waller, Sterling Cooper, who's, I guess you could say he's in the game now too, right? Because I think he's former porn star. Anyways, so when I'm looking at this and I'm laying this out, I'm like, I'm not going to try to give you a prescription. I'm not a prescription guy. I'm a description guy. And that's what this book is all about. It's about descriptions, not about do this and you'll succeed with chicks, right? How to get the girls, as Aaron Clary would say. Game tactics, okay? Demonstrating higher value. Well, Rollo, what's demonstrating higher value? Well, I can go and point you to all these essays that I have done on it. I can point you towards Mystery Method, who, Mystery's done quite a bit on it. I can point you towards the videos I've done on it, or you can get it in the textbook you never got. A comprehensive textbook. That's all this really is. It's a comprehensive book that describes why these things work. It's not a how, it's a why they work. Why is demonstrating higher value important? It's not, how do I demonstrate higher value? I mean, there's some suggestions, there's some examples, but that's not what the chapter is about. The chapter is about why it works, why women want to see you demonstrate higher value. Why is this a psychological phenomenon? That's what it's about. Let's see what else. Learning to read. What is that? It's situational awareness, essentially. Like having the ability to read a room. Like, what is it? What is it in Rounders? If you haven't figured out who the sucker is in the first 5 minutes at the table, you're the sucker. I think I might have even quoted that. It's having situational awareness. Now, when you hear that word situational awareness, it's usually like you're seeing some guy who gets jumped in the street on some like closed circuit video. It makes the news or something like, oh, yeah, that's situational awareness. He should have known better than that. He should have been packing. Okay, well, that's easy to understand in that situation. What about when you're in a social situation? What about when you're at work and you go, Rollo, there's this really hot girl at work and I want to get with her. How should I do that? No, but let me explain to you why. Because you are situationally unaware. You don't know what the minefield you're wandering into in that sense. Do I talk about that? Yeah, I talk about why that's a fact in here. Let's command presence, amuse mastery. The mechanics of Kino, by the way, which is something that necessarily had to be updated for 2020, because when Mystery and all the old school PUAs were talking about Kino, most people don't even know what Kino is. Kino, not Keno, not the game at the casinos. Okay, Kino, Kino, kinesthetics, casual touch, using touch as a form of flirtation. Women do it all the time. Guys, to do Kino, sometimes if you're a good looking dude, you can get away with it. If you're an ugly schmuck, you're probably going to get sexual harassment charges today. Kino in the age of Me Too is a minefield. Do I talk about that in the book? Yes, I do. Okay. Breadcrumbs. I talked about that before. I got into shit tests. Why do women give me shit tests, Rollo? Why is it that how do I pass a shit test, Rollo? Well, I'm not going to tell you how you pass a shit test, but I'm going to tell you how you can have done it in the past, how it's been done before, why it is you're getting it in the first place, and to see a shit test as an opportunity, not I never knew what to do. I can't keep the conversation going. She shit tested me and I failed. How do I pass? How about you understand why she's doing it in the first place, and then you have a better understanding of it, and now you can figure out how you can do it yourself. Wouldn't that be great? Instead of me going, okay, number 1, say this. Number 2, say this. If then, say A or B. That's not what the book is about. It's about understanding why it happens. So why it works book. Let's see, abundance mindset. Well, people will love that. The positivity guys will love abundance mindset. So we'll talk about that, like scarcity versus abundance. I talk about this, the scarcity mentality. I talk about the savior schema, which was in the first book, but I quote it a little bit in here. Art of the AMOG. Why am I getting AMOG? What do I do when the bully comes and takes my girl, Rollo? Well, I can tell you why it's happening, and I can tell you why you're getting blown out by that dude. How are you going to do that? I don't know. Are you situationally aware, like we were saying before, enough to be able to do that? And again, each one of these things builds on the other one. It's kind of like the religion book in a sense, like each chapter builds on the next. Habit of doing that, I think. So then I talk about the boyfriend destroyer, I talk about the utility of beta males, by the way, which goes hand in hand with all that. Direct game, which of course everybody's going to throw shade at me for this. Okay. But I'm enumerating, I am describing direct game versus indirect game here. And I think I have done it in a way that most people haven't really covered this before. Direct game isn't like mode 1. It's not like, hey, are you down to fuck? In fact, I think my whole point in actually bringing up mode 1 in that section right there was not to throw shade at Alan Roger Curry. I actually like his stuff, and I think he's done quite a bit of good stuff. And I think his mode 1 is probably the best form of direct game. But I think that too many people, and I think I'm doing him a service here by saying this, I think too many people think of direct game as, hey, babe, hey, bitch, are you down to fuck? And if she says no, then you're on to the next. Like it's this blunt force trauma game. And that's not what direct game is about. Direct game evolved from the idea that guys didn't want to waste time with indirect game. And the guys who were using direct game from back in the day, from back in the 2000s, like the early pickup artists of the time, the seduction community at that time, they're like, I already know what I'm going to say. I'm so good at game right now that I don't want to waste time anymore. And they had already perfected indirect game, and they just simply wanted to get to the point. Well, the thing is they already understood congruence. They already understood all the lessons that indirect game had taught them. And then they were applying it to direct game. And so I kind of break down those two. So is direct game better than indirect game? Well, I want to be a man. I don't want to play these games and have these manipulative time wasters and all. Good. I talk about that there. Fantastic. But you still have to understand the nature of women and the nature of men. I'm not saying, one's better than the other. I'm saying what you should do is learn indirect game before you can actually perfect direct game. And that's what every guy who has ever talked about direct or indirect game will tell you exactly the same thing. I get into that as well. Peacocking, jealousy, approach anxiety, which is going to really ruffle some feathers in this time. Why I talked about it on this show not too long ago, approach anxiety and what the evolutionary dynamics behind approach anxiety are. How do I overcome approach anxiety? Well, I can't tell you how you are going to do that, but I can tell you why you feel that way. I can tell you why you have approach anxiety. Let me tell you something. When I did, I think it was like 2 episodes ago, I was talking about approach anxiety. No, I know where it was. It was when I was in Scottsdale, and it was on my birthday podcast on that Sunday. I was from the hotel room, and I was talking about approach anxiety from the terms of like evolutionary psychology. Like, why do guys innately feel approach anxiety? And I broke it down into like, why a guy, if he flubs an approach or whatever, women talk, and he might not reproduce if the rumor gets around. Or it could be like retaliation. It could be that she's already taken by a guy, or or her brother, her father, or whatever is around, and he doesn't want you talking to her, and he's going to beat your ass unless you can get in there, ejaculate, and evacuate. That's why men are opportunistic breeders, because there's the mate guarding dynamic has been part of human psychology for, 200,000 years. So those were just 2 aspects I talked about that. You know what people lost their shit on? They lost their shit because I was talking about it. They lost their shit because I was saying the reason you feel approach anxiety is because A, B, and C, and here's the innate, psychological reasons for it, and why your great-great-grandfather felt approach anxiety in the same measure that you do right now. And they'll go, no, Rollo, it's because girls are bitches and they don't care about me. And people are very, very invested in the fear of approaching. They think that it ought to be easy. They should have it on easy mode. And they really want approach anxiety. Approach anxiety creates a lot of anxiety just talking about it, to the point where when I'm describing a situation, when I'm saying, here's what happens when you have approach anxiety, I'll say, well, you're going to approach the girl, but in, the 3-second rule, right? You want to go in there and make your approach and talk and whatever. And guys, I think in that moment when I'm talking about this, and this is not just me, this is like other guys who've talked about this too. When you're describing approach anxiety, when you're saying, here's the mechanics of it, here's the dots to connect, in connecting those dots, guys lose their shit, because they have to sort of mentally put themselves in that. They have to imagine themselves in that situation. And that is very uncomfortable for guys who are not used to that or not putting themselves in there. Because maybe they did and they got blown out once and they're just like, oh, it's the worst rejection they've ever, it's a fear of rejection. Well, men fear men, as a man, you're going to be rejected way more than women will ever be. Just get used to it. Get used to that idea. Don't think that women are going to be kind to you and they're going to, oh, he's cute. I'm going to reject him, but we'll just be friends. Like guys don't like, that's still a rejection and guys still get crushed over that. Especially guys who are inexperienced. But if I go and I say, here's why you feel that anxiety and that fear and that like hesitation, they put themselves mentally into like this hypothetical situation, or they remember the last time they were in that situation and it triggers like really deep seated, like emotional responses in guys to the point where if you go and you look at the comments on that show, I think Tom clipped out that clip. It's on my clips channel as well. If you don't want to watch the whole channel, I think there's probably like a 7 or 8 minute clip when I was talking about approach anxiety. And if you look at the comments there, fuck you, Rollo. It's because women are bitches and I can't get laid. It's because they're putting themselves mentally into that. It's provoking. And that chapter is definitely going to provoke. Yeah. Sorry, not sorry. You need to know this stuff. If you want to overcome it, if you want to get past it, you need to know that stuff. All right, I'm going to back up here. Let me go see if I can go grab the rest of these because there's some super chats are getting away from me. We are we passed the top of the hour a little while ago. What else? Let's see. That's you. What's at the top up here? Oh, all right. I'm bad boy. Hang on. We got to put, I really need to put, there you go. There's the trademark in the logo. Not that it matters, by the way, Sam, because I have tried to enforce trademark on the fat kid in Brazil and YouTube told me to go pound salt. So makes no difference. Their only justice is frontier justice. Just saying. Let's go back up to the top here. See if I can get all the way up. Is that where do we start? I'll leave it on there so people can see the trademark, but what are you going to do? Oh, here we go. Mitchell. Mitchell. Sorry. I thought it was Michelle. Alan Roger Cody did a video crushing you new game book. What's your response? I just responded to you. He has no clue what he's talking. So are you going to tell me that Alan Roger Curry has read 500 pages in the space of 36 hours? Has he just been pouring over it? Now, the only part he's upset about is the fact when I talked about, I mentioned his name like once in the direct game part of the thing. Interesting that, and I knew that was going to happen too. Interesting it happened so quickly. Again, I thought I was being very complimentary to what he was saying. So I don't know. I did, however, break down direct game versus indirect game. And I took a very, let's say, academic approach to the whole thing. What do you want? What do you want? What you want?
You're goddamn right.
A hardcover box set would be great. Graduation gift for a son. Okay. Myself, I'm waiting for the Audible because I'm a truck driver and listen to. Oh, cool. Yeah, I was going to say a lot of people are asking for the Audible. It's in the works right now. I tend to, even under a best case scenario, I probably wouldn't release Audible until like a month or two after the print and the Kindle drop, simply because I want to be able to like have those in the wild and sort of like mature into what they're going to be before I drop that, because I know that most people don't read books. As I was saying, most people don't read books. They listen to books. And I know that. I do too. I'm guilty as charged, right? It's coming though. Don't worry. Let's see, Vinny, what revenue you get from Kindle Unlimited? Not very well. Not very good. Not very good, Vinny. Kindle, by the way, Kindle's still 40%, I think. No, well, sorry. Kindle is 70%, but Direct or Kindle Select is 40%. And they have lowered their royalty arrangements. My other books for print were 70%. And then you got an extra 40 from Kindle Direct, because they want to keep you locked into like Amazon only. And I like those. Amazon's pretty much where I go. People ask me, why don't you go with Ingram Spark? Why don't you go with Book Baby? Why don't you get into Barnes and Noble? And eventually I probably will. But for right now, for what I do, I think Amazon's probably the best way to go for me. I could probably be making a whole lot more money if I just decided to sell it on Gumroad and then like push it over to Amazon. But that I'm an author. I'm not a funnel marketer. I would love to be able to do that. Now, am I going to do classes according to this book? Yes. If you read the book, you'll understand what I'm saying. But by the way, so what's happened in the last since 2021, I think, Kindle Direct Publishing has reduced that to 60%. And I think that's as a result. I don't know if that's as a result of them wanting to like screw around with authors, but I do know that there is the material shortages and there's labor shortages right now. So what the infrastructure they used to have has been sort of changed up a little bit. And of course, they pass that on to us as writers. So we have to pass that on to people. People say, well, why is this $22.95? Well, first of all, it's a very comprehensive book. And I can't sell this book for less than $18. So I don't even think I'm actually asking that much more over the minimum. It costs about $7 maybe $7 to make this. I think I have a materials cost. So when I put this together, how come it's not $4, Rollo? Well, because it costs more than $4 to actually produce this book. Costs more than $4 to do that. It costs like $7 or close to $7. Like it's like $6.97 or something like that. So it costs money to produce the book. It costs money to ship the book. It costs money to promote and put the book and do everything else on there. And so I don't know how they calculate that, but they say, you can't sell this book for less than X amount of dollars. So I do. And that's why it is what it is. I hate using that phrase, but it is what it is. And then, so that's Kindle's different, Kindle tends to be less, obviously. I can't sell for under a certain price on Kindle and I can't sell for over a certain price on Kindle. So they have that. Now, why is it that, and this is going to be a very hefty audio book as well. I don't choose the price for Audible. Audible chooses the price. And I think it goes by like how long the book is. So like an 8-hour book is less than like a 14-hour book or a 20-hour book, something like that. I don't make the prices on those. So, Ayo, shout out to Papi Swallow. Yeah, did you like that? Oh, thanks. Game Face Myron. This is not like Myron's illegitimate child. That was pretty good. I like that one. Happy. Any chance you will self-narrate your books on Audible? You're an excellent speaker, and it's always nice to hear a book writer in his own voice. I am considering it. I might do a series of Audible with me talking, but certainly not from the get-go of this one. I might go back to my books and do like, read by the author kind of thing, just to have, because people really like Sam's voice. They really like Trey's voice and they really like my voice. And I try to variate things. Like when I picked Sam as the voice for my first 3 books, it's because he was voice announcer and I liked his stuff, and he did a good job on those, I think. Problem with Sam. Sam's a good dude. I love him like a brother. And the thing is like some people really love Sam, or they just like, oh, I can't listen to this guy because it's an announcer kind of thing. And I think a lot of people like my voice because I'm here talking and doing this right now. If you would have asked me to do it, to narrate my own books back in the first or the second book, I would not even consider it, because I don't have the skills to do that, to go like this, that, I read the intro to Rich Cooper's book, his Unplugged Alpha. I wrote the introduction, or the foreword, and I read the foreword on his Audible book. And just doing that, I mean, I think that was probably 4 paragraphs. It took me a long ass time to do that. So I would have to be learning a new skill, and not like talking about it, but like reading. I don't think people really realize that voice talent on Audible is like a whole nother market. That if you're a voice, I could do it. I've got all the gear. I could do it right now. I got a soundproof place. I could very easily do it. But man, I have a new respect for people who do this, particularly Sam, particularly Trey, the guys who have been doing my book. Even like when Ryan Stone has read his book or Rich Cooper read his book, I'm like, how long did it take you to do that? And they're like, oh, I don't know, 3 months or whatever. I'm like, I don't know. To me, I'd rather be doing, producing content. I can do it. I probably will at some point. I will narrate a book, but I have to learn how to do it first before I can be efficient at it. So it's definitely a talent. I'm very impressed with people who can do that. But you're not the first one to have asked me that. I would very much like to do that. Let's see. Keep going. John God, did you see Tech Lead video on his child support? Yes, I did. And who was the guy that interviewed him? Was it it wasn't Jeremy from the Quartering. Who was I forget who interviewed the guy recently. And apparently he got raked over the coals. Now, I first became aware of Tech Lead through Josh. I forget what's Josh's last name. Yeah, I can't remember. Anyway, through blogger Josh or podcaster Josh. Anyways, I knew what was going on. He has mentioned Tech Lead has mentioned my book several times. And apparently that wasn't enough to sort of dissuade him from his chosen path here. And he's been raked over the coals. You know what I really like to see? People asked me if I was going to interview Tech Lead after his child support thing and his divorce. And his wife, by the way, just like absconded with the kids. And I think correct me if I'm wrong, she took the kids and just flight risk, right? She left the country. She went to Japan with the kids. And, here he is like a millionaire or something. And now he's going through alimony. Now he's going through child support as a result of all this. And he's getting raked over the coals. And it's really nothing that I haven't said in the past or nothing that Rich Cooper has said in the past. I would like to see, honestly, I would rather see Rich Cooper interview Tech Lead because I think he would do a more, I guess, thorough job than I would. I mean, because I can, what do you want me to do? Beat up on Tech Lead? I could do it, but I think you would get more out of it if somebody who's gone through the divorce machine was interviewing him, and Rich Cooper is probably the best person I can think of to do that. Yeah, I miss Pat too. Every time I put together a new book, like when I finished Religion and I finally got it done, Pat was still alive, but he wasn't Pat anymore by that time. And so it was a really tough time for me. What's my opinion about Mike Tyson? Mike Tyson, I think, surprises people because I think Mike Tyson is a lot smarter than most people like on first glance think he's going to be. I've seen interviews of Mike before, and yes, I'm familiar with the most recent one. But I think he kind of throws people off because people are expecting one thing, and he's incongruent in a good way, in a positive way. He's incongruent with what people expect of Mike Tyson, especially now, because how old is he now? Thank you for all the hard work. Your content has helped me through a dark divorce. Oh, good. Open my eyes to understand the functions behind the facts. You get that. I'm all up in my sound drops. Thank you, Christopher. I really appreciate all of that. Do you play Warhammer 40,000 tabletop simulator? No, but I know what you're talking about. Do you mean not Dawn of War? You mean the sim, right? Where you can do things like live in real time with somebody else. I think that's what you mean. I used to a long time ago when it first was developing. I haven't played it in a long time. One thing I need to do is get back into my hobbies once again. I don't have time for hobbies. I really wish I did. I used to paint models all the time. I still do illustration for the band, like for Trial of Ascension. So if you've seen any of the art and you've seen like the merch and stuff like that, that's me. So I still do that, but I'm doing it. I hate to say I'm doing it for a function. I'm doing it for a purpose, which is the band. My creative outlets right now are playing music and really doing merch and stuff for the band right now. But I really want to get back into my hobbies. And now that this book's done, I probably have some time to do it. I'm definitely going to go fishing next week. By the way, I will be in, what time is it? 1:26. I will be in Lake Tahoe all next week, starting tomorrow. I'll be in Tahoe from Monday through Friday. I'm going to do a book signing thing where I'll be available for book signing. I think I'm going to do it on Tuesday. I'll do it on Tuesday. and I'm going to be at the Starbucks in downtown South Lake Tahoe. I will be there. Let's see, what time should I do it? 2:00, 2 p.m. Pacific time. I'll be at Starbucks on Tuesday. If you want me to sign your book, if you happen to be in the area, I will be around. I'm just doing it just sort of to see if anybody's around. So I'll be in Tahoe then. If you're in Reno, if you're in, you're around this area, like Northern California or whatever, you want to come see me at a show or something, like if I'm playing with the band or whatever, come on by. I'll be happy to sign your books, because people keep asking me like, can you give me an autographed copy of the book? And I'm like, yeah, I can. I don't want to charge you for it. I'm glad you love me, but I'm not going to, it's my signature. Right. So if you see me somewhere in Reno, or you want to set something up, I'm happy to do that. But I will be in Las Vegas on the 12th and 13th of May. I will set up some time. I will be staying at the Red Rock Casino. So if you want to come by and you want to meet me there, hit me up on Twitter, hit me up on Patreon, hit me up wherever, and I will set up a time to meet you there. And I'll be happy to sign your book if you're in Vegas. Then if you are in Dallas, Texas, on the 14th and 15th. Yes, I know about Amber Heard. We're going to talk about that. Amber Heard, I can't believe she would shit on the bed. Okay, don't look up Amber Heard. I will be in Dallas, Texas on the 14th and the 15th of May. If you are around that area, I will let you know where I'm going to be. I forget the name of the hotel, but hit me up for details either on Twitter or on Instagram or whatever, or email me direct, or hit me up however you hit me up, and I will be happy to sign your book in Dallas. Then I will be at the CME, the Convention or Conference of Masculine Excellence by Donovan Sharp, who, by the way, I'm going to be interviewing probably later on this week at some point about the CME, because I want people to have a broader understanding of what's going on with the CME right now. This is going to be a big one. I think this is the conference that he probably should have had back in Las Vegas. I'm just a speaker there. Okay. I know a lot of people. I know Anthony Johnson is going to say, oh, they're collaborating. They're colluding against me. I have nothing to do with that. I have nothing whatsoever to do with the CME, except for the fact that I agreed to speak. And except for the fact that Donovan has got together a large group of guys who I think are very much worthwhile speakers. And this is going to be a really incredible event. And it's going to be in Miami. And it's going to be down in, I think it's in Brickell. I don't know what the actual hotel is just yet, or the event site, but I do know that it's in, if I don't miss my guess, it's probably in downtown Miami. And I'm going to be doing some extracurricular stuff. I know a lot of the other guys are as well. And it's going to be a week-long thing, man. If you want to take some vacation, if you want to, hang out with the guys, you don't even have to take the full thing. I mean, just show up for like 3 or 4 days. But I'm going to be doing, I'm going to charter a fishing boat. I know that. I got some people who are like saying, hey, come up to Sebastian, man. I want to go fishing with you. I'm like, well, okay. I will be there from the 16th till the 23rd of May. If you see me there, I am more than happy to sign your book. And if you are at the Rebel Capitalist in June, at the end of June, it is I want to say it's the 25th of June is the last weekend in Miami, Rebel Capitalist, George Gammon. I'll be doing a workshop there, and I'll be happy to sign your book there too. So if you see me, you say, Rollo, come sign my book. I'm going to do actually some dedicated book signings at all of these events. So just hit me up and I will give you a schedule as to where I'm going to go. I'm going to have kind of like a mini book tour, I guess, because I'm traveling at least once a month, all for the foreseeable future, and probably July too. I have been to Miami in January, in February, in March, and now in April. I'm going to be there in May, and I'll be there in June because of the Rebel Capitalist stuff. And then, of course, I'm talking and doing, by the way, I should also add this announcement time since we're at the middle of the show. I'm also working with Adam Sosnick on some collaboration stuff right now. We're in talks. I'm not going to spill the beans or anything like that, but I'm working with the Valuetainment guys. That's one thing that I have going. That's another iron in the fire. I've got Robert Kiyosaki, who I talked to. Like I said, I talked to him yesterday. He's got a new book out, by the way, called The Capitalist Manifesto. It's interesting. And I swear to God, I did not plan this, but his Capitalist Manifesto, his book dropped on the same day as book 5. I did not do that on purpose, and he did not do that on purpose. Okay. I know people are going to say, oh, they must have done it together. No, it was just serendipity, right? Whatever. But I'm doing some work with those guys. Ken McElroy, Tom Wheelwright, George Gammon, by the way, is great. I think I might actually be on George Gammon's show again within the foreseeable future. What else do I have going on? Oh, well, I mean, other than CME is coming up. Oh, and then by the way, thank you guys for getting on the Red Pill Lions Discord. The whitelist is full, according to Rocky. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't be on the Discord server, because that's where I go to sort of interact with people. It's kind of the new place that I'm going where you can have like sort of one-on-one with me. I should also add that I am going back to doing one-on-one analysis, counseling, whatever the hell I call it. So now that this book is done, if you've hit me up in the past and you said, Rollo, I need one-on-one counseling. Okay, that's fine. I'm not trying to blow you off. It's just I was trying to get this done. And so now that the book is done, I will have much more time to do one-on-ones. So if I get back to you and you're like, oh, Rollo's finally getting back to me after 3 weeks. Yes, I am, because now this is out in the wild, and I have time to do it. So I will be, if you contacted me in the past about one-on-one counseling, I will recontact you most likely this week, probably like middle of this week. I'm going to be in Tahoe, but I'm still going to be doing, I still work. Let's see. Did I plagiarize Chateau Artiste? The fact that you call him Chateau Artiste proves to me that you don't know who you're talking about. That's Royce. And yes, I quote him several times in there. So I don't plagiarize people, but I do quote people. I quote Robert Greene. I quote Nick Krauser. I quote Tom Likas. I've quoted before. I quote Mystery. I quote lots of different people in there. So there's a fundamental difference between plagiarizing something and then putting something in there as a drop quote and then putting an attribution to it. So keep that in mind. There you go. Oh yeah, we're going to talk about this today too, by the way. Yeah, Simon, hold that thought, my friend. Hold that thought. Yeah, we're going to get to that. I also have a video for you guys to have a look at. Today's going to be kind of like potpourri of red pill stuff today. So will my next name be under my real name? No, it won't. But I'll be happy to put you out there and put you on blast for that. No problem. Yeah, you found me out. Congrats. Well done. Well done. Well done. Are you and Rich Cooper still cool with one? Yes, absolutely we are. Rich is no longer part of Rule Zero. He decided to opt out of Rule Zero. I don't think that that's any great big secret or anything like that, but Rich is doing his own thing right now. And Rich was, I think Rich kind of wanted to get into like different topics, and he had family things that were going on, and it's a commitment, man. I'll tell you this right now. We did not do Rule Zero yesterday because I'm flying back from Miami. I couldn't do it. And if it's like my turn to do it or to host, all I can do is say, hey, Ryan, can you do it? And if none of them can do it, then we skip it at this point. And it's not because we don't have some sort of commitment to it. We do. I try. I make sure that everybody has a shot at it. We're still doing Rule Zero. But, we all have our own things. We have things that come up, and some of us can show up for it and some of us can't. And that's no big deal. Again, we're not doing Rule Zero because we have some grand scheme. It's not an LLC. It's not the Red Man Group. We learned our lesson from that. Rich and myself learned our lesson from that, and that's why we have Rule Zero as decentralized. We still do the panel show. We still will continue to do the panel show. It's just that's how we started it 3 years ago, and that's how we will continue it. So, but I mean, I don't have any problem with Rich. I don't have any problem with anybody, to be honest. There are very few people that I have a problem with right now, and you already know who those people are. And Rich is not one of them. Rich is a good dude. Let's see. Yeah, I like James Tusk. I'm thinking about we have talked about bringing James Tusk into the Rule Zero fold. I think we probably will be. Yeah, James is a good dude. I'd like to bring Justin Waller in more regularly. I definitely want to bring Kevin Savo in, but I think Kevin Savo scares off John from Modern Life Dating. Shh. Oh, and Aaron Clary too. Sage Rollo, why do girls always talk about self-love on social media? You mean like the Jada Pinkett Smith Red Table talk? Love yourself and all of that, because okay, so self-love, you mean like appreciate and love yourself, not like self-love, like, you know what I mean, diddling yourself. Primarily it's because we live in an emotionalist time. We live emotion feels before reals. Okay. So the idea, and I experienced this firsthand, by the way, if you guys saw the Crazy Feminist Exposed video on Fresh and Fit, which was a 4-hour long after hours show. And we reached the point of diminishing returns on that show long before we should have killed it right then and there. But that whole show it was interesting because we had some women. We had a range of women from 18 to 33 or 35, somewhere along those. And the women who were 33 and over were much more based than the women who were like, we had a girl who was 18. We had this girl who's a French Canadian girl who was sitting right to my left on the show. And she was a hot girl, blue eyes, very thin, looked like she took care of herself, but she was just there. No one's at home. I was looking, I have the video. I could show you some clips of it, but I think I'm not going to. If you want to go look at it, you can. It was so long and I could scrub through it and show you some points, but really all it was a good example of cognitive dissonance on the part of women, depending on where they are in life. So you had this 18-year-old girl who was blathering on about wanting to be independent and how she was bisexual and how she could never trust any man. And if she wants a man, she wants him to be her equal. And it was all the standard kind of pablum that you get from this. Oh, I want an equal partner, and men need to be equal with me, and I'm independent. And I at one point in the conversation, I'm like, why do you want that? Why do you want an equal partner? Like, you don't need men, but you say you want a man. Well, what kind of man do you want? Oh, I want him to be this. My ideal guy is this. I'm like, well, first of all, that ideal guy will want nothing to do with you. And I'm not saying that to be cruel or, to crush your poor little idealistic soul, but it's true. And I broke it down in no uncertain terms. And I just went from point A to point B, just deductive logic, and presented how it was going to work. And then when you do that, and I did the same thing with the French Canadian girl as well. And so did Myron. Myron was trying to make a point. And I was just like, at one point during the conversation, I'm like, we have reached the point of diminishing returns. And she wasn't even drunk. Like, that chick was like stone cold sober. She had hardly anything to drink. And she would just yammer. She was 28 years old. She moved to this country. She constantly she loved to talk about herself. And it turns out that she was a sugar baby, essentially, for some doctor who had brought her to Miami from Canada. And she was like going on about, well, men and women this, and we're not animals, and blah. When I talk about how women have no problem with cognitive dissonance, she's a textbook example of this. And so you could say the sky is blue and she thinks the sky is green, and she will tell you why she thinks that, but the sky is still blue, right? And whenever something works in favor of a woman, especially when it comes to hypergamy in particular, but whenever women confront cognitive dissonance, it's like they have no problem with cognitive dissonance. They have no problem holding two opposing concepts in their heads and going with whichever one is the most expedient at that time. Now, I have said, and I think I quoted in this book, as a matter of fact, women have no problem with cognitive dissonance, especially if one of those two competing concepts leads to optimizing hypergamy. So if I get what I want, I'll go with choice A. If I get with what I want, I'll go with choice B. Whichever one facilitates my life and my plan and whatever, I'll be happy to go the virtuous route. I'll be happy to go the practical route. I'll be happy to go and even if those two concepts conflict with one another, it doesn't matter rationally and reasonably that they do. That's where the dissonance comes from, the cognitive dissonance, right? Holding two different opposing points of view. Well, those points have to be, they're not based on feelings. They're concepts based on like logically, rationally, deductively coming to these conclusions, right? Well, the dissonance that's the feeling. That's where the emotion comes into all of that. So when somebody says, well, where to go? Here it is. When somebody says this, why are they so big on self-love? Because love is the highest order feeling that women have. So if something leads to greater love, or like Jada Pinkett Smith was saying, it's all about love. It's all about, follow your heart, girl. It never leads you astray. You'll see this in Disney Pixar movies. You'll see this. It's a constant romantic ideal that I talk about in book 4. But whatever leads to that love, like love is love. You'll see that on like placards and stuff like that. You'll see, especially when, when they were pushing for same-sex marriage. Love is love. Well, love is the justification for anything else. That only comes in a society that is primarily based on emotion. Love justifies anything whatsoever. If it gets to love, then we're okay. That's why in book 4, if you've read book 4, you'll understand there's a whole chapter in there that's called Love is God. Not God is love. Love is God. Now, that was a reversal, of course, of the Bible, right? God is love. I think it's Corinthians or something like that, right? So, but I reversed that because we hold up love as a God. And by that, I don't mean like an actual God. I mean like actually like higher than God. Like the concept of love is what makes things worthwhile. If it was all for love, then it was okay. Oh, I killed this person. Was it for love? Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess you're all right. You're off the hook. Right. Oh, I committed these acts of atrocity, but it was for love, for the true love. Right? Love is God. Love is the feeling, the emotion of love is the highest order, like principle in that. Well, really to the woke mob, but like to a society that's founded on the romantic ideal. Love becomes God, not God. God is love. It's love is God. And that's why you will hear that all the time. Love justifies, absolves, and forgives pretty much anything because love is God. And how do we come to that? We come to that in a society that is based on feels before reals. We prioritize emotion before reason. That's why we are still hooked on the blank slate. That's why you'll still hear women talk about society teaches us this. That's social constructionism. People want to know, like, well, Rollo, what can I do to fight back against that? How do I get masculine authority back? You call that shit out immediately. That's one. You don't use their language. You don't use that. You use now, if you want to actually do something, now here's the prescription. Rollo Tomassi is going to give you here it is, a prescription. You hear that, you do not use the language of emotion. You use the language of reason. And that was the conflict between myself and Myron and this girl, this French Canadian girl, where she was proven wrong, provably wrong. And you know what she defaulted to? She defaults to, well, that's your opinion and that's my opinion and we can agree to disagree, blah, blah, blah. No, we can't, because you're wrong. Because my priority in this show, my show, and anytime I go on Fresh and Fit, and certainly I think Myron would agree with me, is that we're not looking for what feels good. And I'll show you a little clip here from our good friend Michaela Peterson here a little while. And I'm not trying to shit on her. It's not her I want to focus on. It's the guy she's interviewing in this. But it's all about, you make people feel bad. Like she's not talking to me. She's talking to this guy, right? And, inadvertently, he's trying to be as polite and as courteous as he can be in this whole thing. But she defaults to appeals to emotion because that's the only language she speaks. And the French Canadian girl that was on Fresh and Fit, that's all she understands. She doesn't understand any other language. Women rarely understand or learn the language of rationality and reason and empiricism. They only speak emotionalese. And I don't mean womanese. I mean like they only defer and default to emotional appeals. So if when a woman can't be right, as I said before, it's like, oh, who hurt you? They're trying to win the argument by reframing the argument to emotional conditions. So an emotionalist can't win a rational argument with emotion and vice versa. So a guy who's like telling you deductive reasoning, he'll say, well, here it is, black and white. Here's the stats. Here's the numbers. Here it is. It's like the laws of physics, and here it is laid out for you. And it's like, oh, well, that's your truth, not my truth. That's when we hear that. Oh, well, I'm living my truth. No, there's the truth. And then there is your interpretation of that. And if you think you are living according to your interpretation of that, well, then we can have that discussion. But the fact remains is that there is no, agree to disagree. Oh, that's just your opinion. No, those are the facts. And your opinion is you can't deal with those. And again, that's that cognitive dissonance there. And when you bring up that topic and when you have that discussion, and it doesn't have to, of course, women are easy to, certainly young women are easy to point this out. Guys do this too. Like the guys who are really sort of aligning with this blue pill feminization, that they've been acculturated and raised and thinking, well, the more I identify with women, then the more they're going to like me. They'll have the same response. Like woke guys, Ethan Klein, woke guys will proceed from an emotionalist basis. And as I've said before, you have sort of these moral absolutists and these moral relativists, and you've got these empirical absolutists and empirical relativists. But it's a conversation of the language of emotion and the language of reason. And when their language of reason is trying to win a debate, it presumes that the emotionalist that they're debating has the same goal of coming to what is true and what is not. What is a fact and what is not? What is true and what is false? The emotionalist, the believer, that side, the blue pill really thinking is this right or is this wrong? Is this my truth or is this the truth? That's a really fundamental difference. So when women default to, oh, it's all about love, that's a reframe because they can't win a rational empirical argument where the goal of that argument is coming to whether it's true or it's false. Now, believers who it's all about love, that's interpreting. Because remember that emotion is not about, it's not learning, it's not rationality. It's how I felt about something. And it's what was the emotional provocation? What is my body? What's the emotional trigger that's, I don't know, pumping adrenaline into my body or make oxytocin into my body or whatever, chemical cocktail into my body. Remember, instinct, emotion, and reason are not magic. They are interpretive human processes. It's how we interpret information. But the problem is we prioritize emotion above everything else. And so that's how you get love justifies everything. So if I'm right about an argument from an empirical perspective and someone says, well, that ain't love, that I lose the argument because the goal of the argument isn't about what's true and false. It's about what's love and what's not. What makes me feel good and what doesn't. So Michaela always starts with this. Oh, well, he's right about stuff, but it seems very angry. No, it sounds angry to you because I'm speaking the language of rationality and reason, and she's speaking the language of emotion. Her point in being in that argument, in the first place, argument, debate, whatever it is, the goal of the debate is to walk away with a good feeling. That's not, I ain't nice. I'll be happy to go in there and piss you off and you can walk away with a bad feeling. But you know what you won't walk away with? You won't be uneducated. You'll walk away with something new in your head. And that's my goal when I walk into that arena. Educate. Is this true or is this false? Now, does that mean I think that emotions aren't necessary? No, absolutely not. I'm an artist, man. I love my dog. I love my kids. I love you guys, man. I love my 1,000 sons. But I love you enough to tell you the truth. And sometimes the truth is tough, man. The truth will set you free, but it doesn't make it easier to swallow. It doesn't make it easier to accept. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be able to come. It has liabilities and responsibilities come with the truth. And that's the problem. Sometimes they don't feel good. Fish or jacuzzi, watching old videos with Pat Campbell. God, don't. Wait. For Pat. There you go. Yes, Pat Campbell. God with his immortal soul. If there's any one person in heaven right now that I truly believe is in Valhalla, it's Pat Campbell. Red Pill 101, lots of great effectively essays of rational male, basically be a man. Yeah. I miss Pat. I miss Pat a lot. I will miss Pat. I will commemorate his, was it October 20th is when he passed away. I will definitely have a special show for him that day. Thank you, Ewan. Al Cooper, congrats on the new book. Heard your first comments on mystery and now have studied his material. Any comments on Ross Jeffries' material? Thank you. Ross, I've actually quoted Ross Jeffries on a few occasions where Children with Dynamite. That's I plagiarized that from Ross Jeffries. That was actually a quote. I think it was in the game. I've met Ross Jeffries on 2 occasions. Ross seems like, I understand. He's like, you want to talk about Rollo Tomassi being the old guard. Ross has been around long before the seduction community was around. Ross was big on neurolinguistic programming, which was, saying the right things or couching certain terms or in sentences. If you look up NLP, because people are going to screw this up, neuro-linguistic programming. Okay. Cuttlefish, Cuttlefish, not cuttlefish, neuro-linguistic programming. Look that up. That's Ross Jeffries. I like Ross Jeffries' old stuff. I think kind of some of his newer stuff is like, I haven't heard from him in a long time. I don't think bad to say about the guy. I don't think I've seen anything from him in a while. Let's see. Do you think I am? Am I a super seducer? No. Did you see the thumbnails of, I should bring those up. I'll bring up those thumbnails here in a second. Of the last 2 after-hour shows I did. It was pretty funny. And I did that on purpose, by the way, to provoke. Let's see. Edward. Always better to always be on your game as opposed to getting comfortable than going back when shit hits the fan. In the long haul, game is easier. Yeah. Funny you should say that. There's actually a dedicated chapter in this book called Always Default to Game. Well done. Let's see. The Rational Male strikes again. Thank you. Thank you very much. And by the way, it is the, I should have led with this. Let me see if I can pull this up while I'm sitting here like a fat lump on a log. I should have pulled this up in the first place. Let me pull that out. All right, here you go. You guys are going to love this. And I'm proud of this. I'm actually kind of proud of this, even in spite of the very first review. But here it is right here. Can I bring that in? All right, here you go. Check this out. Look at that. Woohoo! Not bad for a guy who uses a pseudonym, a guy whose real name is #1 bestseller. That is not #1 new release, ladies and gentlemen. That is #1 bestseller in dating. And that is the broader category of dating. The broad category. It's not specified to dating, finding love, or they have the little subsections and everything. By the way, I don't think a lot of people really realize this. There is I forget what the name of it is. There is a categorization for books that when you're putting out a new book, you have no other choice. Like when Amazon asks you to categorize your books, it gives you 2 choices. So you can put it in 2 categories. One had to be dating, obviously. And I think another one was like social studies. I tried to spread things out, but it only lets you do that. And then later you can sort of specify in particular areas and you can dominate in one area. People do certain book hustlers will do that. They'll go, I'm going to be the #1 in this category because it's not impacted. So you'll see the guy, I think it's the guy who sells the Alpha Male Bible or something like that. And he's #1. He's a #1 bestseller in like social finances or something completely unrelated to really what he's talking about, but he's #1 in that category. So therefore he can say he's a #1 bestseller in that. Well, you can only do that once the book has been released into some of the broader categories. And they do that because Amazon has to follow book writing conventions. Everything you ever wanted to know about book writing here. And so I want to say, I forget the name of it. There's an acronym for it, but it's books BISC or something like that. I can't remember. There's a categorization standard. And when you create a new book, you have to put it into those. So there's only 4,000 of those. Seems like, well, there's lots. Only 4,000 of these, like the basic booksellers categories. So like if you're at Barnes and Noble, or if you're at a bookstore, whatever, that's how they categorize where your book will go on the shelves. And they've been doing this forever. Okay. So it's been 4,000 booksellers, traditional publishers created this system so that people will know where to go when they're in a bookstore. Right. Well, clearly that was created in a time before Amazon and BookBaby and Barnes and Noble online and everything else. So that's the basics for book selling. Now so there's 4,000 of those categories. Dating is one of those. And that is a huge category. Go look right now and you'll see just how huge it is. And then there's the subcategories. So those are the basic ones. Now, Amazon has 16,000 different subcategories that are based on those broader categories that are the booksellers categories. So to be number one in dating is saying something, especially on Amazon. It is not the number one new release. It is the number one best seller in that category. Thank you. Namaste. There you go. So, and now will I get probably subcategorized? Yes. But let me take my victory lap right now. Well, let me show you that one more time because I want to see it myself. I had to screen cap it. There you go. And that, I didn't even know how that worked until the last book. Have you heard of Dr. Scott Yenor? No, I have not. His work includes masculinity, family, and vocal on flaws of femininity. You might find some of his. Okay, I'll look him up. What's Scott? Mark that down for me, Sam. I'll go check that out. Oh, let's see. Oh boy, hot fun girls in the chat. Just in case you guys wanted to see, there's that attention you were looking for. Hot fun girls. I'm sure they already did. They already block you? I'm sure they did. Yes, you did. Thank you. Guys are on your game. Just so you know the kind of crap I have to deal with. I'm a one-man show. Well, except for Sam. Sam helps me out. Sam Whiskey, an artist can draw a dirty picture in the men's bathroom and it's appreciated instantly. An architect is not an architect until he gets a house built. Yes. I also want to point, thank you for actually, you know what? Since I'm taking a victory lap, Sam, I want to point out something else here. 5 books in under 10 years. Okay. That's what I've done. My first book was published in 2013. This latest book is 2022. By October 1st of 2023, book 1 will be 10 years old. And that's what I do. I build things. I create things. You want to say what you want to show your work, right? And that's I just put this down, but I'll explain what I mean by this later. But like, I've done a lot of stuff. I think I've produced. I think I've helped. I think I have made a dent in the universe to some minor degree, maybe a major degree. But whenever I'm dealing with haters, whenever I'm dealing with people who come up, who are trying to get a come up on me, anybody who wants to say, "Oh, your real name's not Rollo. Well, congratulations! After 10 years, you figured it out. Good for you." Oh, you're married, and. Yeah, I love that. I love that one too. But it's like, it's not, I've learned this. You want lessons learned? Rollo's lessons learned about writing books. Lessons are learned is you're always going to, Rich Cooper says this all the time. Hate only comes from below. Yeah. Okay. People who attack you are people who are trying to pull you down because they're beneath you. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's true too. But there's another aspect of hate that he doesn't really talk about too much. And that's these guys are just functionally autistic. And a lot of these guys have OCD. And a lot of these guys are on the Asperger's syndrome, scale spectrum. They're on the Asperger's spectrum to some varying degree. And if they can't attack me, or if they're attacking you, or they're attacking somebody I'm associated with, understand they're attacking me. They're attacking me through you, or trying to anyways, and have been doing so in this case, the people I'm referring to, for about 3 years right now. That's the level of commitment. That's the level of obsessive, compulsive, disordered psychology So it's not just, oh, they're below you and they're trying to tear you down. Yeah, but they're also psychotic. We deal with psychosis. We deal with like socially dysfunctional people. So bear that in mind, because these are people who don't do anything except for talk shit, except for try to give you slander and let me explain something else to you, because a lot of people have asked me this question and I know that this is going to come up, so I might as well address this right now. Because what happens is you get the fat kid in Brazil, John Anthony lifestyle. Fuck you. There's number one. You want to come at me with slander? Please do. Please try. Please do. Give me another fake, cease and desist. Give me another, bullshit. I'm going to sue you. You know what I'm going to tell you? Sue me or shut the fuck up. That's what my attorneys have told me to tell you. Until I see that affidavit, until you say that, and you know who the first person I'm going to subpoena is? It's going to be all you motherfuckers. All you guys. You're going to show up on this day and this time, and we're going to have it out. I will be glad to countersuit that. I will be happy to. I've been waiting for 3 fucking years to do that. You know why people don't do slander? You know why people don't get away with, don't file suits for defamation of character? They don't file any of that stuff because there's no money in it. You have no money to go after. Anthony Johnson is next to bankrupt right now. Everybody I know who used to be on his payroll, they'll tell you the same fucking thing. Okay. So you can keep coming at me, keep doing your hit piece videos, expose my daughter, expose me, put a liar on top of my face, whatever. I don't give a flying fuck right now. Please do. Please come at me. All you're doing is building my case. You do nothing. He does nothing. None of these guys do anything. I've written 5 fucking books in under 10 years. I've done what I've done for 10 years. I've built, I've created. I have bolstered. I have opened people's minds. I have gotten into spheres you couldn't even dream of getting into. And this is not me being prideful or hubristic or anything like that. It's just a statement of fact. Doing things. That's where I go. I'm working with Kevin Save. I'm doing an NFT, whatever. And you know what? I'm going to do a documentary. And you know what? It's going to happen after that. I'm going to be doing other things. I'm going to go and invest my money into people who I think are red pill and are going to promote this stuff, who are going to help make a change, because you are not doing that. All you're doing is dragging people down with your psychotic, autistic, obsessive, compulsive, obsession with all of this. You know what? Stop wasting your God. You want some real advice? Stop wasting your time. If you, and I'll explain to you about the defamation and the libel thing here. Here's what it is. Hey, are you guys familiar with like Cardi B? Cardi B just, she just settled she just won, I should say, a defamation of character suit, a lawsuit. Okay. She spent literally like $1.5 million or $1.2 million, I think, in prosecuting some dumb bitch that was talking shit about her online or whatever. And it's money out of her pocket, because the person who was talking shit about Cardi B has nothing to go after. So, but Cardi B wanted to make an example of this person. And it was just in the news about like a month ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. Cardi B won the suit. Right? Well, how could she not? She spent a shit ton of money to do so, brought the person into court, won the case. And you know what Cardi B has to show for all of the effort and energy that she put into that? Well, she says, essentially, it sends a message to people fucking with her and saying, don't fuck with me, fuck around and find out. Right? That's number one. The other thing is she has a settlement in her favor that she can frame and put on her wall. And that's it. That's why most attorneys won't take that stuff. Most attorneys don't care about online beefs unless there's some money to be made off the person talking shit about you. And that's why when you send me cease and desist, or I send you, trademark infringements and this back and forth and this bullshit that goes back and forth, nothing happens, really. Stop wasting my time. Stop wasting your time. Go do whatever. Go build something. Go write 5 books. That's where you want to know where the rubber meets the road. It's what have you created? Because at the end of your life, it's not going to be trophies on your shelf. It's not going to be accolades. It's going to be your body of work. And you know what? My body of work is already surpasses anything you guys could do. So there you go. Why doesn't he go after him? Well, because no attorney wants to do that unless there's some money on the table. You want to file suit against me? Great. I'll be happy to take that, because what I'll do is I'll countersuit, and then there's some money on the table. Come on. Do it. Do it.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Let's see. Sam Whiskey. Thank you. Ned appreciates that. What's funny is I told Fresh, I said, as soon as I move out to Miami or wherever, if I ever get out there, we'll see what happens. It might be Fort Lauderdale. The first thing we're going to do is do like a video series of Hero and Ned. It'll be like a buddy, like a cop buddy show, like Miami Vice for a little Shiba Inu and a big tall greyhound. Why it works equals what works. Yep. For you, how you're going to put it together. Again, it's tools, my friend. I sell tools, not toys. Listen to him, guys. I did the touch thing and got fired when her feminist friend told the manager. Yeah, well, you have to be careful of Kino, man. Very careful of Kino. I can't imagine people like picking up like, I can't imagine. Kino for Spurgs needs to be built upon from ground zero to contact in a general social way. Shove your friends when you're joking. Yeah, exactly. You can do it. You have to understand it. Most guys don't. I'll tell you, it's funny. I can't really do this because it's kind of impractical for me to do it on the show. But if you ever watch me on the last month or this month, if you watch me on Fresh and Fit and you watch what I do when I'm interacting with the girls, dude, I'm like 53, 54 years old. And I can interact with these chicks in a way. And I'm not saying like, oh, I'm going to go and get with these girls. I'm not saying that. Like, just look at I'm not trying to pick up on them. I'm just trying to socialize with them. There's a difference. And so when I'm talking, I'm being, I'm interacting. I say, well, you're extroverted, Rollo. You can be extroverted too. You can be whoever the fuck you decide that you want to be. You just have to be congruent with that. So look at what I do. Just watch. You can even just watch the body language that in any of these. Notice the body language that you can look at it from the last week. Notice the body language of me, like on that show where Hero's biting me. Look at my body language there, and then look at my body language with the girls. That's the thing. Oh, Rollo's, he's not being who he really is. No, that's who I am. That what you want me to I've dealt with beautiful women and beautiful people really for a very long time. That's what I do. I interact. Hey, Rollo. I dated my first serious girlfriend for about 2 years. When we got to high school, we broke up and she dated the star running back. Yeah, he's one of the quarterback. But she would cheat on him with me. They are married now. Who do you think she's thinking about when they're banging? Did you leave a lasting impression? Did you leave her better than you found her? I talk about that, by the way. Leave her better than you found her in here. Am I saying, but wait, did Rollo say to leave her better than you found her or not to leave her better than you found her? You won't know unless you read the fucking book. And it takes longer than 12 hours to do so. I love it. I love calling out that bullshit, especially I can only do it now, by the way, because like once it's out in the wild and it's been out for a while, I can't really say whether people read it or not, but I know goddamn well that guy didn't. Hype for your new book, by the way. You have also helped sharpen the skills of people who are already red-pilled. Thank you. Now, I think one of the things that one of the main points I'm trying to make in here, and I'll explain to you what the cover is all about too, by the way. I don't know if you can see that. I'll just bring it up. I have the actual cover on here. But what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to explain the fact that the red pill and game are like, they're not necessarily mutually exclusive, but they're different things, right? Red pill is the theory, game is the practice. Each one is incomplete without the other. Did game create the red pill? Yeah. When game went in the seduction communities of the early 2000s, yes, because it formed principles and concepts and best practices and predictive frameworks. And from those, we had people connect, such as myself, decided to connect the dots in psychological terms, in sociological terms, anthropological terms, in evo-psych, evo-bio, you name the subfield that is related to the red pill. And a lot of that, and I mentioned this in the very first part of the book, is that a lot of that came from this early seduction communities. So if you're a black pill doomer, if you hate dating roaches, if you're going to go and make, stupid, middle school thumbnails, please go. I collect those now. If that's you, understand this. The only reason you're even having the conversation with all the guys who show up for your 6-hour podcast on a Saturday, which I know you've restarted recently, the only reason they do is because the PUAs that you hate are the ones who gave you the vernacular and the terms to talk about in the first place. You are actually the illegitimate children of pickup artists. Thank you. Not sorry, not sorry. Seriously. Everybody who claims any kind of red pill knowledge, any kind of Rollo's truthful, and even the guys who come at me and give me grief, all those guys that are coming at me, you still owe a debt of gratitude to Mystery. You still owe a debt of gratitude to Papa and Tyler Durden, aka Owen Cook, all those guys in the game, and even before them, you owe a debt of gratitude to them. You really do, because you wouldn't even have this. You wouldn't have this frame of reference if it weren't for those guys. So, let's see. What else? I got to you. Let's keep going. Let's roll through these. I wasn't going to do a long show, but now, of course, it's getting a little bit later. I do want to show you one more thing here because it's sort of relevant to our today's conversation. El Nino. Why is it El Nino? Why is it not? It sounds kind of, remember, the storm system, El Nino. That means the child. Like, you would think it would be like something like, something bigger and grander than that. The only thing I don't like is the title of the book. Why not? Why? Can't place it smack in the middle of my bookshelf in my. Oh, that's why. Okay, sorry. It's a logistical thing. I can't place it in it smack middle of my bookshelf in my room. Rollo, can the next book be called How to Be Happy with Cappy? Yeah. How to Be Happy with Cappy. He would like that. I was going to do it too, because I was already in the middle of doing the cover of my book. Aaron, I would have done, Cappy, I would have done your book cover, but he's a better graphic designer than I am. Just go look at the cover of the menu. The font selection is just God, sublime. This is Vinyasa from Instagram. Hey, do you think it's healthy for a masculine male to adapt a spiritual practice while still maintaining the red pill mind? Yes, I do. And I have written quite a bit about that in the book Religion, which is my fourth book in the now 5-book series. That's the reason why I wrote that. Primarily the reason I wrote that is because I had people who were either already had religious convictions, spiritual convictions. They were trying to reconcile what the red pill was telling them in empirical terms and with what their very, intimately, deeply held spiritual convictions were. I know I have a faith myself. And so I had to sort of sort that out on my own. And I think a lot of people, when they hear the term evolutionary psychology, Evo, no. Evolution, no. There's no way that they can reconcile that. And I think that's a tragedy, because I think that once you understand human nature, you will have a greater appreciation of what, assuming, I don't know what your religion is, but assuming, you're part of, one of the major religions anyhow, you'll understand how a lot of those religions came to what they practice, or the convictions of intersexual dynamics from within that religion. And say, well, they must have known better than us. Well, yeah, but maybe those convictions and those practices and those doctrines and those beliefs are I'll say reactions, but they are they're adaptations, they're interpretations of the human dynamic. So when I in the fourth book, I meant to talk about book 5, but in the fourth book, I talk about premarital sex, or I talk about prearranged marriages. Now, do I think that we should have prearranged marriages right now? I'm on the fence about that. I think it's a good idea. Is it tenable? No. Do I think anybody's going to adopt that? No. Do I think women will fight that tooth and nail? Yes. But I understand why it came about, and it has nothing to do with patriarchy. It has a very logistical, practical reason for no premarital sex. It has a very practical reason for prearranged marriages. Like I have a daughter, right? I would love to be able to find my daughter a husband, an appropriate, good, suitable husband from a good family who's good looking, who is an alpha male, I would be happy to have him as my son and have have grandchildren, great grandchildren as a result. I would love to be able to do that. And I understand why that's necessary, especially now, because women can't make decisions for themselves. They really can't, not in those cases. And we see this constantly. I was just talking about this on the fresh, just on the last after hour show I was doing. Like women bristle at the idea that a man might in some way have more wisdom or have a better decision making capacity than they do. And I mentioned like Tinder swindler and like was it bad vegan, I think. And I focused on this, and when I was making the point in the show, I focused on this and I said, look, it's not about the woman making the decision. It's all the people in the downstream effect on all the people who either suffered or they bore the consequences of the decision that you made. Had a guy, a father, a brother, a husband, a nephew, a cousin, whatever, a male member of your extended or immediate family stepped in and said, no, you're not doing that. No, I'm going to step in here and I'm going to make that decision for you because clearly you cannot make that decision for you. That's when women lose their shit. That's when it's patriarchy. That's when it's oppressive. That's when it's controlling. That's when it's possessiveness. That's when you name it. Oh, it's not about Liz doesn't love me anymore. Blah. No, it's a practical, logical, empirical decision, right? And a guy comes in and you know what? He makes a choice for that woman and it turns out to be for the best for her. I picked out the right guy for you to marry. I picked out the right guy for, you should not go out with that guy. I'm going to go beat his ass and drive off that guy from the tribe, which is what we used to do. It's not because of it. People say, well, it's horribly oppressive and women can't make their decisions for themselves. Well, yeah, when they can't do that, because here we are 65 years into the post-sexual revolution experiment, and we see documentaries like Tinder Swindler or Bad Vegan or name it, man. What is it? Elizabeth Holmes and with the Theranos thing. Like, we gave them power. We gave you what you wanted. We gave you the choice. We gave you everything you wanted, ladies. And this is the downstream effect. We're seeing the product of that experiment right now. And clearly, by and large, women can't make those decisions and as a result of wanting to be absolved of the responsibility and the liabilities of those decisions, because they have 100% authority and 0% responsibility, the downstream effect is your family, your kids, your pets, your society, your economy, all of that suffers because we think, oh, women can just go do whatever they want to and they make they make better decisions than men. No, clearly they don't. And nobody can tell them shit, because if you do, you're mansplaining. We even have a cutesy little term for it. Hey, you're mansplaining. How dare you come in and try to tell me what to think and what to do? How dare you might have actually some better information and knowledge than I do. I'm a woman. You're a man. That can possibly be the case. And then consequently, the downstream effect is people get hurt. People are held liable. People owe money. Countries collapse, whatever it is. I don't know. What are the downstream effects of putting women into positions of power, positions of economy, positions of decision making, where a guy empirically, deductively sees this and say, the few that are left sees this and says, no, I'm going to step in and make that I'm going to make that call. That's where the spiritual side of things comes in. It's not just about picking up chicks. It's not just about, I'm a Muslim and I'm red pill, but I don't want to spin plates. Okay, well, that's one aspect, but the other aspect is like, okay, you can still have 4 wives, up to 4 wives. Well, how are you going to choose those wives? Well, let's use some red pill knowledge and some red pill understanding. Be aware of all that. Use not a small amount of game for 4 wives. So I think that it's very important. And then, so just to answer your question, sorry, I got a little bit long-winded there, Yamato coaching. But here's my best advice to you is go pick up book 4. I specifically answer all this stuff. I understand why premarital, prohibition, I guess, on premarital sex was a thing. It still is a thing in some cultures. or prearranged marriages were a thing, and probably were based on a whole lot more than just, oh, horrible patriarchal oppression. What? Yes, I will. I'll be a super seducer. Am I a super seducer? I probably could be. I think I'd be a good one. Just don't, people always, before I answer that, people always say like, Rollo, what would you tell your 18-year-old self? Nothing. But if I had all of that, because I would listen to me at 18, 19. But the other thing is I'm glad my 18-year-old self doesn't have the knowledge that my 54-year-old self has. I'm happy. I'm glad for that, because if I did, I'd probably die from exhaustion. I would probably end up like, getting all up in die from hedonism probably. Rollo, just wanted to say thank you for all you do and the content you put out. I'm 23, being raised by a mother. You and other creators may be aware of the red pill and becoming a better human. Salute to you. Shout out to you, bro. And congrats on the book. Thank you. Thank you very much. What is this? I like this. I don't care what you throw it in here today. Give it to me today. I'm good with it. Lectures are a low-level investment way to provide blanket education to masses. Learning hands-on or visual provides most info compressed into a period of time. I'm glad you brought that up, Brandon. And again, Josh Fluke. God damn it, you're right. That's Josh Fluke. That's how I came into understanding. I became familiar with Tech Lead. Josh Fluke. I knew it was some fluke. How's Josh doing too? Because I haven't seen anything from Josh in a long time. Let's see. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I am. A while back, you said when you finish the TRM book series, you might do a red pill fiction. Yes, I do actually. I have. I've got several concepts that I've got probably 4 different notebooks where I keep like ideas. As I said, I'm an ideas guy, so I keep notebooks for like different. Oh, hey, what's up, Jose? There we go. Wait. I know you. You were on the show yesterday, or on actually probably all of the shows that I was on. Wet Beaver. Yes. Oh, by the way, so let me finish this. Wet Beaver. Yes, the red pill fiction stuff is there. And then also, and Kevin doesn't know this, but I have some ideas for doing like some web series or some like maybe some short form videos and stuff as well. Bought your book as soon as it came out. Can't wait for the hardcover. Keep on rocking. Keep on rocking, baby. Keep on rolling, baby. You know what time it is. Let's see. Oh, hey. Okay. Hi. I think you missed my chat last time. Okay. Well, what was it? But I wanted to say thank you for saving my life. You are welcome, Billy McGuire. Also, my question is, how do I marry a woman today without involving the state correctly? Well, okay. So I could tell you this in 2 different ways. When people give me grief about being married, or Rollo's been married for almost 26 years, by the way. It'll be 26 years in July. Rollo's been married for a long time. How could be a red pill? Well, I'll tell you this is I am not too optimistic on marriage these days, as you might guess. Now, that might sound funny coming from me having been married. And you would think, I think what's funny is if you're married, and especially if you're married successfully, I guess for whatever that accounts for, whatever your metrics are, I have a pretty good marriage. I have never cheated on my wife. I have no desire to cheat on my wife. I have plenty of opportunities, but I have no reason. And I am very satisfied in bed and out of bed with my wife. And we have a history, and I love her like anything, more than anything. And so when I say stuff like that, people automatically, and I know I got this on Patrick Bet David's show too, they expect me to go, well, you must be an advocate for marriage. Marriage is great. We should all get married, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, you shouldn't. And this is coming from a guy who has a very successful, very, most guys would consider ideal marriage. Well, you're with these girls on Fresh and Fit. And what about Torsia? Isn't she your love child? No. But I'm glad to be able to, sort of rub elbows with beautiful women. But you guys don't understand. I've been doing that long before I even knew who Myron was. I've been doing that before Myron was in middle school. So, but again, that's not a flex or humble brag. It's just, that's what I did as part of my job, was working at casinos and doing promotion, doing casino marketing, doing, wine and spirits. I've always done stuff like that. I've always been around that. So, but it's not because of that. It's because of the way we do marriage now. There is a reason why the marriage rate is as low as it is, and it's lower than ever before. It's 5.1 per 1,000 people in the United States. I don't know what it is overseas, but it's probably even lower than that. There's a reason why people are delaying and putting off marriage. And it has nothing, well, I shouldn't say nothing. It has less to do about socioeconomics, and it has way more to do with women's entitled hubris. And anyone who asks me that on the Daily Wire, Candace Owens, whoever, I don't care where I'm at, that's the exact answer I'm going to give every time somebody asks me about that. Rollo, why do you think the marriage sucks? Well, here's why. Now, I don't think it sucks. I think as an institution, marriage is a great idea. It used to be a compromise. Marriage used to be an institutionalized compromise between men's mating strategy and women's mating strategy. Now, people will say, no, they did it for political alliances, and it was all about money and royalty and power and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but you know what? You're only using, that is the apex fallacy, asshat. Oh, but kings and queens, they had, strategic marriages. Yeah, they did, because that was the politics, and that was the power brokering at the time. But you know what? People besides like dukes and kings and viscounts and queens and whatever, they got married too. In fact, more people who were the peasants and more people who had nothing to do with any of that bullshit got married than the royalty that did. And you know what? Christians and Jews and Muslims don't have a monopoly on marriage, because people in feudal Japan got married too. And in China, monogamy was a good idea from institutionalized monogamy in form of marriage was a good idea even before the state was even a thing to recognize it. When tribal affiliation, even when we were in hunter-gatherer tribes, that's my woman, and you go mess with them, I'm going to kill you, right? Mate guarding. And what was the formalization of marriage? It wasn't necessary. Did it have the ancillary, the side benefit or the side function of power brokering? Absolutely, for people who had power, but the people who didn't still got married. Why? Because it was a broker, or it was a compromise between men's mating strategy and women's mating strategy. That's why. And now we have completely ruined that institute with the state and everything else. So how do you get that? How do you do that correctly? I don't know. I wish I did. Aaron Clary described us as being in a post-marriage world, and I highly 100% agree. I plagiarized that from Aaron. Yes. Sorry, Aaron, I plagiarized your word. Please forgive me. We're in a post-marriage world right now. He's accurate. And I don't know what's going to happen. We talked about poly with some of the girls on one of the shows we did. Like poly, I'm polyamorous. Well done. You're a stripper that you don't really have much choice right now. I got 2 kids and I'm a stripper, and I've got a band and I got some women. I've lived here and I've couch surfed and everything. Bravo. You're not poly. You're not really a great endorsement for poly. Sorry. Poly is I have a problem with poly, but not because of morality. I have a problem with it logistically. I don't think that the human species is built for polyamory, or at least not in the long term anyways. But I digress. How do you do that? How do you marry a woman without involving the state correctly? Well, first of all, I would say you've got to be, I know Abu American has 3 wives or 4 wives. And the way he maintains that, or he manages that, is with the religion. And his wives are believers, and as is he. And I think that that religious conviction is something that sort of binds them together. So there has to be I talked about this in the book Religion, and I mentioned a debate that I had one time on the Pat Campbell show between myself and was it Dr. Everett Piper. And Dr. Everett Piper took the pro-marriage stance and I took the anti-marriage stance, even though I'm not necessarily anti-marriage. I'm just anti the way we do it now. And I explained it in these terms. I said, there's a covenant marriage and then there's the contractual marriage. And what we've done is we blended the two. And I had thought of all people on planet Earth that if I said we need to get to focus more on covenant marriage than we do on conventionality or on like contractual marriage, like he took that side. And I was like, because we live in a pro-feminist, pro-gynocentric world where even saying that could lose him market share in what he's doing. And this is no hit on Dr. Everett Piper because I love him to death, but I would tell him this. I think I told him this in the same time was he has to be careful of brand. So if you go and you say, well, I think that if women have a kid, the man should only take care of that kid or pay child support electively. How dare you? Well, if I don't have a seat at the table when it comes to pro-choice or pro-life, or if I don't have a seat at the table when it comes to reproductive rights, what about male reproductive rights? If I can't go and if I'm disqualified from legislation from that, then why am I held responsible for a decision that I have no power over or I have no authority in? You want to talk again, when I talk about responsibility without authority is slavery, that's what I'm talking about. When people tell me, like I mentioned this when we did a domestic violence show about Christian Ambuselli, who was murdered basically by his white girlfriend. What's her name? Oh, you can even talk about Amber Heard. Really, I mean that's the same thing. Like no one wants to believe the guy; they want to believe the woman. Even Amber Heard has said that no one's going to believe you, Johnny, because you're a guy. They're going to believe her. She knows that. She knows that she's playing the game and she knows she's playing the game. And you know what? All the women in that jury and all the women who are watching this or picking up on the tweets or whatever, they know it too. And they don't care because again, cognitive dissonance. They know she's playing the game and they know Johnny is Johnny, Johnny Depp, right? They know that whole thing's going on, but they're still going to take her side because she's part of the sisterhood. And even if they're against her, they're still going to agree with the parts where agreeing with her in that cognitive dissonance would benefit the sisterhood. So she might go up the river and they might say, oh, she's guilty of sin. Fuck her. She shit on the bed, right? They might say that, but the aspects of the case that in some way would paint women in a bad light, they won't agree with that. And that's my takeaway from the Amber Heard Johnny Depp thing. And I'll do a more detailed one in the future. I promise. I want to wait until the thing's over so I know what the hell I'm talking about, because I'll mouth off about something and they'll go, oh, Rollo, you are wrong. Okay, fine. But and I'll go into something a little more detail, but here's my take on it thus far is very similar to my take on the Christian Ambuselli manslaughter charge, which, by the way, that Courtney Taylor chick who went straight to OnlyFans and she hasn't been charged with anything. They said it was self-defense and she stabbed him and he bled out. He got hit once in the shoulder. I'm betting it was the subclavian artery that she got. I mentioned this. I go watch the show. You'll get my take on all of that. But the bigger picture of this is the fact that even though women will hate on that girl, Taylor, whatever, because she's an OnlyFans girl. She killed a black dude. They want to make a race issue out of it. And she's a rich girl from Texas. If you saw the Donovan Sharp show I did about 2 weeks ago, that's cool. I know I should get it. I trust me. I feel like I'm paying a mortgage there right now, John. But so I was talking about all of this and I had sort of a moment of clarity, I guess. And I'm like, even though women will confront her because they were like in like these hotels and stuff saying, you killed your boyfriend. It was on Instagram and everything. Even though they will confront her, women by and large, the sisterhood will not confront her on the believe all women side. So you've got like two different, what's that meme where he's going to press one button or like a superhero is going to press one red button or the other red button. And one red button is she's a bitch. She killed this guy, manslaughter charge. She's racism, whatever, rich, pretty pass. And then the other button should say something like believe all women or domestic violence this, or hashtag believe all women, or if we press this button, we can't press this button, and this button is we can't get the victimhood status. We don't want to discount or devalue the self-defense, right? Well, so was she guilty of killing the guy in cold blood, or was it self-defense? And that's the cognitive dissonance between those two. And whichever one benefits women is the one that they're going to go with the most, even though they'll still hold the other one. Well, she's guilty of sin, but we shouldn't devalue the fact that, she was probably defending herself. Well, what was it? Was she justified in killing the guy in self-defense, or was she murdering him in cold blood because she's a rich, pretty white girl? And women they're fine with it. They have no problem with that at all. So I don't know what the answer is, Billy McGuire. I would say go read my book, especially the marriage chapter in religion. I go into a few ideas in there, but we're going to find out. People ask me, what's the solution, Rollo? I don't know, but we're going to find out. Thank you. Yes, Royce is heavily mentioned in the book. Yes. By the way, in case you don't know this, in case you're quoting Chateau Artiste, perhaps you don't know the history of this. I do, because I was there when all this shit happened. Okay. In 2009, Royce had a great, I had the number 2 trafficked blog, and he had the number 1, which was, it was actually Royce in DC. It wasn't even Chateau Artiste back then. And he got doxxed. Imagine that, by a chick. And this chick's name was Lady Rain or something like that, Raine. And I don't know what the exact, you can actually probably go find the archives of the comments, but I don't know exactly what happened. But she doxed him, and there was something going on. And the rumor was that Royce had some sort of like government job that he didn't want to lose because he was getting doxed for being Royce. And so word was that he was just simply going to close the blog because he didn't want to lose his high-paying government gig. And rather than close the highest trafficked blog, and remember, blogs were a big deal in 2008, 2009. Rather than close that blog, somebody said, hey, don't close the blog. I'm going to take over the blog for you. And it came down to like 2 or 3 other writers. Maybe one was Royce, and then other guys were managing the blog at that point. And that's when it shifted over to Chateau Artiste. And he started getting more political, more ethno-nationalist, more racist, whatever. Like, that's when I kind of checked out, was right around that time, because it wasn't just about game like it was. If you look at the archives of Chateau Artiste from 2004, 2005, I forget when it started, to 2009, it's almost exclusively game. One, and not to say that there weren't other things peppered in, but right around 2009, that's when the tone of the blog changes. So that's the difference, my friends. And I know because I was there. Where was it? Oh, here we go.
I was there 3,000 years ago.
Yes, that was me 3,000 years ago. What's this? Rollo started as an essayist. Thank you. At least I'm not a blogger. I consider myself an essayist. His primary income was in the liquor and whiskey. He wanted to avoid professional repercussions for talking about taboo subjects. I did. I said that lots of times. I'm still kind of involved in the liquor industry. I have royalties from 2 brands that I'm still drawing checks from. I get royalties from. I gave up all my accounts right around 2020 because there was nothing to do, and my Vegas accounts dried up and everything else because of COVID. And it was at that time I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to focus on this full time. So that's what I started doing. Just so you know. Hey, Rollo, did you hear about Gonzalo Lira? Yes. Would you like me to talk about that now? Okay, here we go. I said it no, but when he came back, I said, yay, clout click. Okay. You'll notice that when I was on Fresh and Fit, I would think it was Tuesday, when it was Wednesday. No, it's Tuesday too, because I think that's when they started making a big deal. A meme started circulating on Twitter and on Instagram that said, Coach Red Pill's dead. I mean, in no uncertain terms. He's been murdered by the Kraken unit of, I forget what, Avroco or something like SB, whatever, in the Ukraine. He was mouthing off. He got picked up. He was tortured, and he's dead. And people were like, oh my, rip Gonzalo Lira. And what was funny is like he actually made the news in a couple of spots where he was presumed to be dead, presumed to be killed. And if you go and you look, and I know Rich did this too, by the way. Rich actually showed the Rich Cooper showed the meme. And I'm looking at this and I'm going, well, you know, dude's dead. I mean, you got, you know, okay, I don't want anybody to die. But I'm looking at this and I'm going, something doesn't sit right with me. I'm just going to keep my mouth shut and wait till this thing plays out. And Myron, to his credit, did the same thing. It's like, hey, guys, we're not going to talk about that. We don't know. But that damn meme said exactly this. It said, has been killed, has been murdered. That was the language, murdered by the Kraken unit. He was picked up, tortured, and murdered by these people. And here we are, 4 days later. I'm okay, guys. I'm just fine. And the guy who broke that story put that meme out there with his face, and it looked like, you know, rest in peace, in memoriam. It had like 1960 whatever in 2022, right? You know, like he was some sort of like gravestone or epitaph, right? And I'm looking at this and I'm going, do we have confirmation? That's why I kept my mouth shut. You guys wonder why I keep my mouth shut about Amber Heard, or like why I didn't comment immediately on the Ombaselli thing. I want to know what's going to happen, especially in those situations when somebody's dead. Yeah, I want to know. I want to make sure that I got my ducks in a row. You know, I jumped. Yes, did I jump in on Jada Smith Jada Smith and Will Smith when that shit went down? Yeah, I did, because everybody else was too, and you could see it right there, daylight. Did he smack him? Well, I don't know. Was it a setup? I don't know. It certainly seemed that way. I gave you 3 options. I took one. Maybe I was wrong about that. I hope I was. I think that option 3, actually, I think they probably, the writers of the Academy probably set that up. Regardless, it made for some good talking points, and it made for some good conversation. Fine. But when it comes to stuff like this, I kind of like backed up off of it, because I've been critical of Coach Red Pill, and I don't want people to think I'm like dancing on his grave or anything. It sounds to me like this was bullshit. Like this was a setup from the beginning, and he's okay and everything's fine. And now he's alive. He's not murdered, tortured. You know his name now. He certainly built himself up for after that. So I don't know. I've met enough guys in this industry where it seems like people want to say, well, he really helped me out. Gosh. And the people really wanted to get behind it. But like now that he shows up alive after this hype that he had been tortured and murdered, those were the words. Go look at that meme. Tortured and murdered. Do you in any way feel a little bit manipulated by the neuro-linguistic programming of that? I'm always, trust but verify. And now we've verified. Oh, did I miss that? I hope I'm not. I know I'm blowing past some of these. I apologize. Congrats on book 5. You made us wait this time. Cool cover. Can't wait to start it. Thanks for everything. Okay, so let me explain to you what the cover is. Let's see. Where is the cover? Where is the cover? I have the cover somewhere here for you. Here we go. Did I pull it out? Yes, I did. Okay. All right, so here's the cover, and I want to explain the cover because I was teasing the cover. So I did this on purpose. Yes, I am not above teasing you with the cover here. Let's see. There we go. All right, so here's the cover of the book. Now, the cover here, and people go, wow, this is the first time I've ever used like imagery on a cover of any of my books, and I felt it was appropriate for this one. This is a piece by an artist, and the artist's name is Dave Laro, Davelaro. And if you want to get in touch with him, if you want to see what his work is, it's davelaro.com, DAVELARO.com. You can also find the link to his work in the book as well, because I've credited him everywhere. So Dave hit me up when he discovered, or he found out I was doing a 5th book here. He says, I think I got a great image for you. So he sends me this. Now what Dave does is he does kind of like found art sculptures and turns them into pictures, like into like imagery. And that's what he's done here. So all the little guys that are down there with the little hand, they're doing like this. If you look at the book, they're like throwing. So it's like I think they're from like an old timey kind of game or something like that where they toss a ball. And so so he finds art and he finds like really interesting textures and stuff. And they go to junkyards or he's just walking around taking walks and find just junk and clean it off or not clean it off and put it into sort of collages. It's a really cool form of art. And if you read the book, you'll understand, like the very beginning of the book, you'll see there's a picture of an 8-ball, right? And as everybody has known, I usually bring out my 8-ball every now and then, right? So the title of the art on here is called Take a Number. And unfortunately, he sold this piece back in like 2012. It's actually one of his older pieces. I would have bought this like immediately if I knew it was still available. I'd pick it up. But the balls beneath the billiard balls that are beneath each one of those little guys has a number, and it's 1 through 7. And then I thought it was sort of appropriate that the 8-ball would be up with the girl in the box there. And the theme, sort of the underlying theme of the player's handbook is, are you an average guy or are you a player? And I think when you read the book and you read the introduction, you'll understand what I mean, because I try to define those terms for you. And I think a lot of people get pissed off at me when I say, oh, you're a beta male, you're a purple pill guy, you're a blue pill, right? They think that I'm insulting them, right? And I've never meant to say, I don't call people simps lightly. I don't use the term purple pill or blue pill lightly. In fact, I try not to even use those too much now because I think they're kind of like dated terms. The concepts are still valid, but I think the terms are kind of dated, but I don't know what else to call. So, but in the introduction, when I'm calling this the player's handbook, it is the player's handbook in that, are you a player? Are you a high value guy? Are you somebody who can actually be in the game and actually play the game? Remember what I've always said is, women don't want to be told that they're playing a game. They just want to play the game. They want a guy who just gets it. They want a guy who is a player. They don't want a guy who is not, and by player, I don't mean like, oh, he's a player. He just wants to go, he's a pimp. He just wants to get a lot of women. Well, yes, but also he's the guy that other men want to be and other women want to bang. So when women are talking about like how they want this high value guy, we don't even call it alpha anymore because apparently that's like too passe. We got to call it high value, whatever. So in the book, I make the distinction, and I do this throughout the book, all 500 pages. I make a distinction between players and average men. And by average, I mean guys who are in the 80%. Guys who are in the Pareto principle, 80%, they're the beta guys who are trying to get into the status where they become attractive, or they're trying to improve themselves, money, muscles, and game, and trying to lift themselves out of the status of being average to being above average. And you've heard me use this terminology before. What does it take to go from being ordinary to being extraordinary? And I define those as average men and players in the book. And so therefore I use the term players, the player's handbook, the textbook you never got because your game coaches are too concerned with telling you that they got 1,400 lays in Brazil. Right. Thank you. I think it's a cool cover too. Emailed you just now about Dallas. Keep up the good work. Okay, great. I will get back to you. I'll be back. Jeff Jones, coming back to Connecticut ever. Would love to buy you. Oh, hey, I know Jeff. Jeff's the guy who drove all the way to come see me while I was in Connecticut. I am actually planning on going back to Connecticut for some video stuff that I'm going to be doing. So I will let you know, Jeff. You follow me on Instagram anyway, so I'll DM you. I'll be in Connecticut. I kind of I like parts of Connecticut. Would you do some Courtney Ryan videos analysis? Would be pretty good. I'll have a look. Noted. So noted. What else is here? I feel like I should just go up to read these things. You guys like it when I put these on here, though. You guys have been very active today. Oh, I see Sarah's in the chat. Yeah, I did. I did see that Torsia decided that she wanted to go interview what's his face from Playing with Fire. It was a very boring interview. Couldn't get through the whole thing. I don't mean that as a burn. I just mean it was just kind of like, Rollo, what is the underlying reason women eat food off your plate? Is it attraction, entitlement, or just deep thinking too deep? Because she's hungry. I have mentioned this before in the past. Okay. In the past, I've said that one of the ways, and I don't want to say this is an alpha tale because it's not necessarily an alpha tale, but like, have you ever been in a car and you're driving along and you're on a long trip or whatever, and your girlfriend, your wife, whatever is with you there, and you get some food or she brings some food along and you're driving and she starts feeding you while you're driving. Now you're driving and she's giving you food kind of thing. But like when you stop the car and when you're waiting at a light or whatever, or when you could probably just feed your own damn self, she still continues to feed you. Or does she just feed you just out of hand? She enjoys the act of popping food in your mouth. Honestly, I think that is like an alpha tale, or it could be construed as an alpha tale. Maybe I'm reading too much into that, but I think that's like, by the way, cooking, you want to know why cooking is for women, like men have we hold like a high quality woman and we'll cook for you. The reason why that's a thing is because cooking is an act of love on the part of whoever's doing the cooking for someone. So when a woman does the cooking or has some food ready for you when you come home from work, or she makes you a sandwich. Why is that an act of like abasement for women, right? Well, the reason why it seems like subservient for a man or for a woman to make a man a sandwich is because it presumes that guy's worth making the sandwich for. And so what is food? Food is sustenance. It'll keep you alive, right? I mean, technically we all need food. So to make a tasty meal, to learn how to be an artist, a good cook, like the artist of food, like to learn how to cook like tasty meals is an act of love. And for not just for the family, but for the guy. And so before there's even a family that exists, if that woman already knows how to cook and she makes food for that man, that's an expression of love and expression of appreciation. It means, I hope you don't die. Here's some food in a basic sense. And that's why guys place a high premium still to this day. Like you can't think of like, well, I need a girl who can fuck me 10 ways to Tuesday. Awesome. Okay. Then what? She's got to be able to cook. What that is it's an act of devotion to that person for his own sustenance and keeping that person alive. But it's also on some level of consciousness, that woman is making that food because she wants to keep that dude alive, because she sees him as the shit. She wants him to stay alive so that they can have babies and have a family together. If that guy isn't the shit, then making a sandwich for him is like admitting or being forced into choosing him and to appreciate him and to benefiting him and being subservient to him by making him a sandwich for a guy who's not worth making even a goddamn bologna sandwich for. That's the food. There's the food paradox for you. I don't think you're thinking too deep in that. Let's see. Well, since you capitalized all of this, Jason Alexander, Rollo will always be the machine from the beginning, or if enough time, will guys naturally pass on more beta genetics? Thank you. Well, we're passing on beta genetics right now, but I will say this is now, remember what I was just saying a little while ago about how we're seeing the products and the results of the experiment of the post-sexual revolution world, where we give women the right to to right to vote, but that was prior to the sexual revolution. But we put women in positions of power and positions of authority. What do they do with that authority? What's the result? What is the net result on society once we start putting women into the workplace? Once we had no-fault divorce, once we had safe and legal abortions, what happens after the Duluth model of feminism? What happens after we put women into positions of economic power, where we have mostly women in charge of the world's finances, the IMF, the European Central Bank, the ECB, the World Bank, right? Look at who runs those shows right now. It's all women. And you look at the the Treasury Secretary? Is it Janet Yellen? I think she's the Treasury Secretary. I don't know. I forget. No, she's not the Fed director now, but like she's still in charge of the purse strings. What do women do? Like, what does the world look like when women control the world economy? I can tell you because I'm going to do a series on it pretty soon. But what happens when women control reproductive rights over men? What happens when women control like Me Too and Believe All Women? What happens when women control the media? What happens when do you think now? And this is my hypothetical question here. I know the answer. I have my answer to this, but do you think the reason that we have this wokesy society right now, this feels before real society, do you think that it developed as a product of a post-sexual revolution society, Western society? It doesn't, and we're exporting this too. We can say it's all United States, but we're exporting it in a global sense right now in globalization. I do, and I think I can successfully make the case that the reason why we have this progressivist narrative, the reason why we have Joe Biden in office right now, the reason why we still have Nancy Pelosi as the most powerful female in the world, whether you agree with that or not. I don't think she's she's the Svengali puppet master, but she has been in that position since 1989. She is 82 years old. Why do we have nothing but why do we have and even the governments that don't have a female leader, we still have pro-feminist, sneaky fuckers, like guys who want to align with that? What did that just magically change over the course of just a few years, or has it been the product of a society that has progressively, incrementally shifted from a patriarchal such system to not an equalist system, but a gynocentric system? I can make a case for that. Anyways, what do you say, John? Without defaming her, how much in denial do you think Coco was during the Valuetainment Pro? I talked with her. We both took a car ride back to Brickell because she's in Brickell and I was in Brickell too. And so we actually talked for quite some time. I'm thinking about having her on this show so that we can have a sort of a back and forth because, and God bless him. I loved Adam. I love you. But I really was hoping he was going to ask some different questions because a lot of the questions he was asking, I was ready to agree with, like the idea that I think that men ought to pay for the date, especially. But here's the thing. I think that men should also be able to say, you know what, if I'm going to pay for this date and nothing comes out of it, or if I'm not getting a return on my investment, then they have the right to just ghost that chick, or they also have the right to date non-exclusively. And I even said that, and she agreed with it. Yes, men should date non-exclusively too. And so on the things I thought she was going to push back on, she didn't. And on the things that Adam thought that I was going to nail her ass with, I was like, no, I think men should pay for the date. I think men should be able to, especially if that it sets frame. We came to the same conclusions. We just followed different paths to get to that conclusion. She's got this sort of hubristic idea that if you're high value and the man really wants you, then he'll show you by paying for the date, right? That's her idea. And my idea is a man should pay for the date because what he does is he establishes frame and that he establishes a world into which he wants to enter into. Part of that is paying for the date. It's not some old school, old conventional, PragerU kind of shit. It's that you are establishing that frame. And what that does is it creates a condition of you being able to evaluate whether or not that woman is worthwhile. She's worth somebody that you want to pursue later on. Because if she doesn't act or she doesn't behave or she doesn't show reciprocal appreciation for that, then at least that's how you can gauge that. You want to talk about how women will shit test men? Yeah, they do. But you know what? You need to be able to filter and be discerning about women as well. How do you do that? Well, you can't do that if you're going Dutch. I'm not paying for no chick. Fuck that, Rollo. Okay, guess what? You agree with the equalist mindset. You agree with feminism. I think we should pay. We should pay our way. Okay, well, what are you? Are you an equalist? Are you? Is that because that's social constructionism, my friend? That idea of going Dutch between the two women or between a guy and a woman for the man pays for the date, that is equalist. That is gynocentric. And you're agreeing with it because you believe in the feminist lie. You believe in the plagiarized, right? You believe in the bullshit that women want true equality. They don't. They don't want equality, so don't act like they do. And don't act like you have some plenary indulgence not to pay for a date. You'd have to pay for a date. You should pay for a date. I want to go Dutch. Fuck you. You know what? Guess what? When you say that, when you're like, if that's your attitude, if your attitude is, I'm not paying for no date. We should go Dutch. We should, by Dutch, I mean, she pays, I pay, right? Even Steven. Well, you've just agreed with the feminist mindset. You are now a feminist. You're a sneaky fucker. You are trying to identify with what you think will be expected of you from women. That's why you need to create a frame into which she enters. And if that's the case, well, I'm not going to pay for no dates, man. Well, I'm not saying you got to pay for 8 or 10 dates. I'm saying like by the first date or the second date, if there's no reciprocation, if there's no genuine desire, then here's the other thing is this is if you're just focusing on one girl by paying for the date for that one girl and you don't have other plates spinning, you're not doing it right, my friend. You need to have more irons in the fire. You need to date non-exclusively, and she needs to know that you are dating non-exclusively. Until such time as she makes herself presentable and worthy for you to put any more investment into her than what you already have, no. If she's not willing to enter into your frame, if she doesn't see you as the shit, she doesn't look up to you and admire you, you as the man that other men want to be and other women want to bang. Next. Yep. Next. It's not hard. I even told her this. I said, hey, this, and I'm ripping this off from Pook, right? Pook once said that, what was it? If you want to judge a woman's character, see how she responds and how she reacts to people who can do nothing for her. That's really important. Because as I've said before, women marry a lifestyle. They don't marry the guy. Well, if they're marrying the lifestyle, how are they coming to the point where they're going to get into that lifestyle? Do they, do they think they're entitled little princesses? Well, then probably you don't want to pay for another date with her and move on. Who fucking dates anyways? Nobody dates. This isn't fucking Happy Days anymore. I hate that. I told him that too. I said, nobody dates. Not like they used to anyways. She was like saying, no coffee dates. I agree. You need to take her to a fucking lounge and have a martini with that chick. Don't go on coffee dates. Don't go on nobody goes on long walks or whatever. You know what that says to you? You know what that telegraphs, by the way? Now, we came to the same conclusion, right? I agree. Don't go on coffee dates. I've said that's in the first book, as a matter of fact. Don't go on coffee dates. You don't need to go on a coffee date because that's a safe date. There's no excitement. There's no emotional association that goes along with that. Take her rock climbing, right? Or go to the climbing wall. Take her jet skiing, whatever. And those are like stupid illustrations of extreme things. But you have to make an emotional impression on that girl. And you're not going to do that at a coffee shop. You're not going to do that at Starbucks. She's right. She's right for the wrong reason. She's right. Her reasoning is that, well, you need to show your appreciation and a coffee date says you're cheap. She is correct about that kind of, but like, that's not the point. I come to that conclusion because there's no, like a Starbucks date is a dead end. Going for a walk is a dead end. You need to have something to do. You need to have some function, especially if you can do this. If you have a pre-established frame, you say, hey, and this is going to sound really stupid, but this is the best example I can come up with. Say you have some kind of hobby that you're into or some kind of scene that you're into. I don't care if maybe you're in a band. Maybe you like to go like mudding. You know what mudding is? You go get in your truck with your buddies and you just go in these big mud pits and you take your big 4x and you just go get as dirty as you possibly can, right? Or this is not me, but like maybe you want to go to like Burning Man here in Reno, Black Rock Desert, right? People love that shit. Hey, here's the date. I'm taking you up to Burning Man. You don't want to go? Fine. That you have your answer. That sounds better. That sounds more exciting. That sounds like something that's going to make an emotional impact rather than I'll meet you at Starbucks and I'll talk to you about my day. What you're telegraphing in that instance is you're telegraphing you are a beta. You're willing to jump through hoops. And one of the prime directives in here, the prime directive of game is women break rules for alphas and they make rules for betas. So when you're dealing with a woman, if that woman is making rules for you, just like this girl was, and by the way, Coco is a rules girl. What's a rules girl? There was a book right around the late 90s and it was called The Rules. And it was, I think, co-authored by two women who had this list of rules that women should follow so that they can go from being, they don't get used and played. It made the rounds on Oprah. I think it was on Oprah's book list for a while. Both these women are divorced, by the way. And it was called The Rules. Go look it up. All you have to do is put The Rules in Amazon. It'll pop right up because it was a very popular book in the late 90s and early 2000s. Her suggestions and her whole dating spiel is basically rules. She doesn't know it because she's 30 years old. She was like 10 when it came out, right? Maybe. So she has no idea what the rules are, but she's basically practicing the rules. And that was one of them. Don't go on coffee dates. Make him take you to a fancy restaurant. Take me to sushi. Well, she thinks of that in terms of treat me special. I think of it in terms of don't go on a coffee date because you are the world you want her to enter into doesn't have a Starbucks. The world you want her to enter into is not just walking someplace. Maybe that comes later after you're familiar. That's a reward. You get that walk date once we're fucking, but before that, you're coming jet skiing. You're coming to Burning Man. We're going to go parasailing, right? We're going to do something. We're going to do what I want to do. And you're going to come along for the ride. And in my world, we go to fancy restaurants and we drive supercars, or I don't care, go mudding, whatever your contextual, thing is. And you're coming along for the ride. And you don't want to come along for the ride, then you're not a ride or die girl. So thank you for filtering yourself out. That's how I come to that conclusion. She comes to it in a different way. All righty then. Who is texting me? Okay. Have I been yes, I am promoting. Thank you, Sterling Cooper. Yes, I am promoting the CME. I promoted it in this show. I am promoting the CME. Please come to the CME. I'll be there. Sterling will be there too. Let's see. Oh, well done, Aaron Master Sword. You figured out the name. Oh, happy days. Capping with Cappy. Should that be the name of the show? Hey, Rollo, love your books. Each one so far. I prefer audiobooks. Any plans for you to do a narration? I already said not anytime in the future, but the Audible for book 5 is coming. Sleepy Joe, I'm making $60K now at 27 and run a cleaning business. What are you, like the cleaner? Should I keep reading finance books or merge off to the Rational Male series? What is the income threshold before I focus on dating dynamics? I don't know. Contextually, where are you at? $60,000 a year, and you have your own business at $60,000 a year. Okay. So why not both? Why not both? Why not do this all at the same time? Why is it that you feel like you have to focus on one thing at a time? Well, don't chase girls, chase excellence. How about you chase excellence, and as a byproduct of that, you got girls coming. Girls show up. Can we do that? Is that allowable by the chase crowd? Because I don't believe in this chase bullshit. Chasing neuro-linguistic programming. Thank you very much, Ross Jeffrey. Oh, you're chasing after the girls on the playground. You can pull their pigtails. You're chasing girls. You're chasing this. You're chasing that. Nobody chases anything, dude. Chase excellence. You know what happens when you're on your game and when you're doing something and you have a purpose and you have a direction, you have a passion, you have an ambition. Success chases you, man. Seriously. Winners don't know that they're in a race. They just love running. That's my Greyhound quote, by the way. Winners don't know they're in a race. They just love to run. And you know what happens for people who love to do, who find intrinsic joy, satisfaction, validation, happiness, whatever the fuck they're doing in the act of doing that thing? Those are the people who are the most, those are like the virtuosos. They think you think of them as being naturals, as doing what they're doing. They just enjoy doing what they're doing. They have such a joy and such a talent and such a they're so into doing what they're doing that it seems like they have some sort of natural, God-given gift, and maybe some of them do, but the intrinsic value of the reward comes from the act of doing. So what happens then? And this is a great point. Thank you for making this. What happens when I get to the promised land? Happiness, by the way, is not a state. It's not, you don't get to happy land. And that's, you want to know what the biggest fallacy, I'm going to lay this on the line, man. The biggest fallacy of the feels before reals generation is the idea, the false idea that you can be happy in a permanent sense. Human beings are not meant to be happy. Organisms are not meant to be kept in some continual state of pleasure. We call that hedonism, right? We call it, oh, well, that's degenerate and hedonistic. Well, why do we say that? Why not? Why not be in that state? Well, we think of people who are hedonists, we think of them as degenerates. Why? Well, they should find happiness in the Lord. They should find happiness in something else, right? They should have contentment in this. And I will tell you, I keep saying this, there's no such thing as contentment. The human condition is defined by discontent. Now, does that mean we all have to be these depressed, fucked up people? No. What you have to do is realize that happiness is not in the having, it's in the doing. It's not a state that you get to. Contentment, you will never be content. I don't care what you think. I'll be content. You can be content in the Lord. Okay. You can be content in your religion. Got it. Fine. You want to be content in your mental state? Great. But you know what? People who have a lot of money who think they're going to be content with a lot of money, or I've got $60,000 right now. Well, clearly, if you're not making $100,000, then you can't be content. Can you? You can't focus on women until you've got $100,000. And you know what? When you get to 6-figure income, you're going to go, how do I get $500,000? How do I get this? How do I get that? I'll be happy when I get to that state. I'll be happy when I get my degree. I'll be happy when I get the certification. I'll be happy when I get married. I'll be happy when I do this. No, you won't. You will be happy in the doing, in the process of getting from one state to the next. That's what encourages you and rewards you to shift from transition from one position to another position. Also, depression, anger, sadness has the same effect. Emotion is meant to get you from one position to another that is more sustainable. Happiness is one way of doing that. It is not something you don't live in happiness. We're not supposed to live in happiness. And if we are, it's in the doing. It's in the process. That's why I was making that case just not too long ago. You want to know who the most unhappy people in the world are? It's guys like Anthony Johnson. It's guys like these fuckwits in Brazil. It's guys who just want to sit there and grind their teeth about somebody else who is happy and is doing something and is producing things because he's moving from one state to another. He's building, he's writing books, he's making art, he's doing films. I don't care what it is, whatever the process is or the product is at the end of that. It could be money. It could be building a business. I don't care, whatever your purpose and your passion is. But your contentment is not when you get to that point. It's in the process of getting to that point. That's why guys like Anthony Johnson, guys like these guys who just want to tear you down, you know why they're unhappy? Because they don't do shit. They have no product. They have no purpose. They have no body of work at the end of their lives. They're going to live miserable, unhappy, bullshit lives because I own space in their, I live rent free in their head. Their purpose is to fuck with other people. That's their whole purpose. And they don't understand that 3 years later, when I'm 5 books in now, 3 years later, when I'm talking to Kiyosaki, when I'm making inroads with Patrick Bet-David, I'm even Fresh and Fit. You want to know why why they piss off so many people? Because they're in the process of doing. They're not sitting going, these guys suck. I can't believe anybody would give them money. I can't believe it. The reason why you're all pissed off and angry and angst-ridden right there is that's your response to get from one condition to another condition. And you think you'll only be happy when other people agree with you and they come along. But you're never going to get there because you produce nothing. You are entitled, was it Frank Underwood? You're entitled to nothing. That's why you're angst-ridden. That's why you're purposeless. That's why you're rudderless. That's why you're a lost boy in the Lost Boys generation. Pick up something and go somewhere and do something. And along the way, you're going to develop skills. Along the way, you're going to go, you know what? I really enjoy, I don't care, drawing, working on cars, whatever it is that you decide that you do, that you get some sort of intrinsic reward from. That's where the happiness is. It's not in, I'm getting married, so I'm going to be happy. I found a quality woman. I'll be happy. No, you won't. You'll be happy in the doing, in the producing. As I said, it's at the end of your life. It won't be the trophies on your shelf, and it won't be the accolades, and it won't be the awards you won. It will be your body of work. What is your body of work up to now? What is that? Tell me what your body, show me your work. That's what I said that at the end of this book, as a matter of fact. I give you the tools. You show me what you build with it. So you're making $60,000. Okay, great. Why not work towards making $100,000? And at the same time, you're learning about game, or you're going to the gym. Why do you have to just, you're only chasing one thing? You're not chasing shit. Nothing. You're not, the chasing is bullshit. Okay. Are you doing or are you not doing? We're humans being. I hate that stupid sound, but it's true. It's in the doing. It's not in the having. All right. Now let me explain something else to you here too. I have to throw this out here at the end, because if I don't say this now, it's not going to come out. I put out a tweet not too long ago, and it's not about algebra, and it's not about calculus or anything like that. Because when I go and I talk to these chicks on like Fresh and Fit, and you reach that point of diminishing returns, or you go and you try to break down things for people. Like I did the show on Michaela Peterson. I've done like 3 shows with her. All I'm doing, I'm not obsessed with Michaela. I don't give 2 shits about Michaela, especially right now, because I think I got it figured out. It took me a while to figure it out, but honestly, I think she's got something a little whack with her. She seems like she's somewhere on the spectrum. Maybe she's functionally autistic. Who knows? But, and again, that's not me like trying to flame on her or anything. That's just my read. Okay. But whenever I talk about that, whenever I try to make a logical assessment, whenever I bring out like facts, even when I was in that interview, and I know she was talking to this other dude not too long ago, talking about exactly, he was talking about plagiarism, a guy who's lifting like the 3 Ps right from my book, right? And I forget the guy's name, but it's the second time he's been on an interview. And of course, it's titled, "Is the Red Pill community fudging stats," or whatever like that. Well, Rollo doesn't have any statistics in his first book. Well, I do. But do I have to cite every single one of them from 2013 back then? Or have I done a body of work in the course of 10 years? Well, 10 years in this case, but 20 years. Have I done the coursework? Does anything I say not make sense? Where am I wrong? Point to me where I am wrong. And I described it like this. When I'm talking about red pill principles or everything, you want to know why I'm so long-winded? You want to know why I try to Rollo just likes the sound of his own voice. No, I don't. You know what I'm trying to do? I'm trying to balance being concise with being comprehensive. And I always fall on the side of comprehensiveness. And you know why? Because I constantly get these assholes who say, he's not citing sources. He doesn't have a doctorate. He doesn't, he didn't give us 10 different sources cited from independently funded college research, peer-reviewed meta-analysis studies over the course of 25 years. And if he doesn't provide that, then I'm not going to believe it. Well, I have actually done that in the past, and I realize it's kind of folly right now. But the people that people give me shit about, like Chris Williamson or Michaela or whoever, I'm quoting people they're having on their shows. I'm quoting Rob Henderson. I'm quoting David Buss. I'm quoting like guys from David Buss from a long time ago. Marty Hazelton, same thing. I'm quoting all this stuff. God Sod, quoting him. How come you don't have God on there? G-A-D, not G-O-D. Gad Sad. Go look him up. G-A-D-S-A-A-D. I know I have to enunciate for you. But I feel like I'm doing algebra. I feel like I'm doing calculus. And when you do algebra and calculus and you have to show your work, it's not enough to show your solution. It's not enough that you got the right answer. The teacher wants to know, how did you solve for the variables? How did you do the algorithm? How did you do the cosine? How did you do all of the things that you have to do to get to that correct answer? It's not enough to go, okay, well, I figured it out. You have to show your work, right? So when I do show my work and I go through all that process of the calculus, that is the red pill, the or the algebra, that's game or whatever. When I do go through that, this 500 pages of calculus of game and red pill. And at the end of that, you know what the answer is? Well, you seem very obsessed with algebra. You must secretly want to fuck algebra. You must secretly why do you have such an obsession with calculus? There must be something wrong with you because you went to all this trouble to prove this, to solve for X. So it must be some emotional, like who hurt you? What did mommy not love you enough so that you had to go and be such an anal retentive that you had to go and show all this work and get the right answer in calculus? That's what it comes, because there's no coming back from that. There's no rational answer to that. Here it is, black and white, empirical data. Here it is. Oh, well, it doesn't feel good. I didn't feel good after you've solved for X. I didn't feel good after you got the right calculus answer. I don't care. Fuck your feelings, to quote Myron, but also quote Gad Saad on Joe Rogan, right? Fuck your feelings. I don't care about how you felt about the end result of that calculus problem. I just want to know, am I wrong or am I right? And did I come to that solution? And I showed my work. Did I come to that solution the way that I was supposed to, provably enough that this is where I'm supposed to go and this is how I solved it? It doesn't feel good. Okay. Well, that's where so when I do that stuff, when I go and I say, here's the data, here's this, here's the stats, here's that, here's this. And then I have some asshat go, well, he won't debate me. Hey, there's something wrong with him. He must debate me. On what? On what aspect of this equation when I'm showing this work? Just because you don't want to read through and go through the process that I meticulously go through to solve this calculus equation, you don't want to have anything to do with that. You don't want to put in the time and have the common courtesy to check my work. You won't do that. So why do I give you the courtesy of a debate? I don't owe you a debate. I don't owe anybody a debate. But if you want to say, here's Rollo, here in your equation is where you're wrong, then let's get on the show right now. Get on here right now, and I will talk to you exactly about that. If you have that, if you want to talk about that and how it changes the end result of the equation, let's do it now. Call me up. I'll give you the phone number. I'll talk to you live on the phone about it. But until you can do that, until it's like, well, this made me feel better, he's wrong. And if you don't know how I came to that answer in the first place, then I got nothing to say to you. Because if I'm willing to do the homework and you're not willing to do the homework to prove me wrong, then fuck you. Simple as that. Let's see. Groovy Gunslinger says, how important is having the same worldviews in a long-term relationship? Not really. For example, same political beliefs, same... so there's a compatibility issue that goes along with that. I would say less important than for guys, sexual compatibility. Number one, sex is the glue that keeps a relationship together. Guys, by the way, will happily change religion if the pussy's good. Same thing can happen with women. You'll also find this as well, is that women who are like ride or die chicks, they don't care. They'll change their religion. They'll change their family affiliations. They'll move from their tribe to your tribe. And I mean that in like the I guess, ephemeral sense, right? They'll suddenly take an interest in Swedish death metal, or they like the Raiders, right? Suddenly. I don't think it is as important as sort of like this natural. Number one thing is innate, genuine desire. After that, you can talk about like compatibility. But if you can't get past that, then it makes no difference. Let's see. Seems like the latest book closes the circle that started with news groups eons ago. Good. I'm glad. I hope so. I hope it did. I hope it will. I want you guys to let me know what you think of the book too. Honestly. And please go check my work. Please check my work before you do, because I want an honest review. I want to know where I'm at, right? If I'm trying to solve like a calculus equation and I'm wrong in it, and I come with the wrong answer, I want to know if you're the teacher, right? You tell me what was wrong in the work that I'm showing that led me to the wrong answer. Hey, Rollo, did everything take a turn for the worse since the post-social revolution, or when sexual revolution? Sexual, SEXUAL, sexual revolution, not social revolution. Sexual revolution. It's a thing. Look it up. Or when women got the right to attend university. Well, women have always had the right to attend a university. They simply weren't encouraged to do so for a very long time. However, that's kind of a moot point, because in a post-sexual revolution, so post-sexual revolution, sexual marketplace, that's when universities opened up. It was a product of the sexual revolution. I just purchased your book, The Player's Handbook, and when I noticed I could not find Game Maxim number 10 and number 15, can you please elaborate? Did I not throw those in there? I'll pull those up for you. Hit me up on email. I'm pretty sure I'm sure I got most of those. Let's keep going. I think I got all of them. Many Orthodox Jews marry after arranged dating. Couples still decide, but introductions are still firm. Yeah. In some cultures. Again, all of this is cultural or contextual, I should say. Rollo, are you still doing fishing charter? Yes, I am. I'm not going out of Port Canaveral, though. I will most likely go from Miami. I've got Captain Nelson, who is my general captain, my captain. And Sterling's been with me. Justin Waller's been with me on this guy. And so I'll be doing that. I will be announcing that once I make the reservations, once I get everything settled, which will probably be next week. So I'll let you guys know. Yes, we are going to go fishing. Subclavian, you got me. It is. This is my word for the month, by the way. You got it. Yep. Let's see. Sam Whiskey. Rollo, what's the message behind the artistic style you chose for the color? I already gave you, told you about that. Oh, and by the way, the 8-ball is not in the original artwork. I had to actually insert the 8-ball next to the girl because it has, you'll see in the book, you'll understand the meaning of the double entendre of that. Oh, so my real name doesn't have the same ring as Rollo Tomassi. Well, you know what else doesn't? Let's see. Gene Klein. Who's Gene Klein? Gene Simmons from Kiss. What is Paul Stanley was something. No, he wasn't even Paul Stanley. It was like Stanley. Stanley was his first name, and it was like had some really kind of, he had a Jewish last name, and so he changed his name to Paul Stanley from Kiss, right? We make up that we are who we say we are. Okay. Hey Rollo, late to the party. Have you discussed Michaela Peterson video when she's Vincent? Yeah, that's the guy, Vincent Harinam. I just did a minute ago. I think I might just reserve that for a full thing. I'm very hesitant, Eric. I'm sorry to say, to actually put Michaela Peterson on this show ever again, because all it's going to happen is, boy, he really seems obsessed. Here we go again. Here's another Michaela thing. And I can dismantle her like systematically. The only thing I think that Vince's heart is in the right place. He actually had some nice things to say about my book, which of course she would just sort of bit her tongue over. But I will say this, he lifted my 3 Ps, which is provisioning, protection, and parental investment. And let's see what else. I mean, again, it's he's going to rely just for he doesn't want to like Vince, if you're watching, come on my show. I'd love to talk to you. But I think he didn't want to step on my feet and he didn't want to step on her feet. But I think his heart's in the right place. Anyways, I think she was trying to like peg him and not in the biblical sense. I think he was trying to like sort of nail him down with the red pill and statistics, because she really just wanted to title this video, the red pill doesn't really have statistics. No, we do. And my 4th book is like meticulously cited sources. I cite sources in this too, not as many, but like certainly not for the religion book, but I cite sources all the time. And the other thing is if you have a problem with like the people who always say, well, Rollo doesn't cite sources, you know who's throwing that one out there? DDJ and Anthony Johnson. Those guys, it's the same shit. I know that's where she's getting this from. Everybody does. Well, he doesn't really cite any sources in this. Okay. Did I say it was a meta-analysis? Did I say it was some sort of like Psychology Today research paper? No, it's connecting dots. Do you think what I say in there is illogical? Am I wrong? Where am I wrong? Show me in my work where I am wrong. Okay, well, here's where I think you're wrong. Great. Okay, now would you like me to show you the stats and the data and how I came to this conclusion? Would you like me to show my work? Okay, let's talk about that. That's a debate. That's no Rollo's a cult leader. That's not a debate. That's your opinion. That's like your opinion, man. That's not. I'm not a cult leader. I'm an army leader. Let's just be clear about that. You guys are my army, not my cult. I don't give you rituals to follow. Your only ritual is to fucking think for yourself. That's my ritual. Critical thinking. That's your ritual. Please practice critical thinking. Bane. There is no clear-cut solution in regard to double standards, gentlemen. Watch your six and stay on your grind. Yep. Well, the double standard is a nonsense principle, let's just say, because it relies on equality. And equality is a lie. Come to Ohio in 3 to 5 years when I'm ready to re-enter society. I'll let you know exactly when, though I don't like surprises. All right. Thanks. I don't know what that was about. Samishi joined in a bit late. Did you talk about Coco Butte? A little bit. She sounded like Rich Cooper in her terminology. Yeah, but she has no clue. She has no earthly idea who I was or Rich Cooper is. Sounds like she might be a decent interview. Yeah, I'm actually considering bringing her on as an interview. I think that she'd be all right. I think we come to the same conclusion. Like people kept saying, he went light on her. Well, I didn't go light on her because we came to the same conclusions. We just came to it through different paths. You see what I'm saying? So we would agree on something, but I agree on it for one reason, and she agrees on it because she sees things from a female feeling centric. Actually, I shouldn't even say that. She's also from Croatia. So there's that kind of like cultural thing. If she was some chick who was just this entitled princess from the United States or whatever, then I could see that. But like, I think she has sort of this old world kind of appeal to her. What do you say? My girl making me a sandwich and suggesting putting Lay's on it while I'm driving to California, blasting music out the window. Some of my best memories ever burned in my mind. Good. See, she cares about you. She wants to keep you alive, my friend. Here, have another M&M. A peanut butter M&M. Let me tell you something else. I don't know if people picked up on this, but when I was on the after hour show with the girls last just yesterday, or Friday night, anyways. Everybody came down, and rightly so, on the French Canadian girl who was like finessing the doctor. She was a sugar baby, basically, and she just didn't want to accept being called that. But you know who the bright shining gem of that whole show was? Was Lynn, the girl who dressed up like Chucky. Go look at the thing, you'll understand. You can't miss her. She's Russian, right? And she actually has a Russian accent. She can speak in Russian, and she loves me. She came right up, and I love you too, Lynn. You're great. She comes right up to me, and she's just, she's very personable, very friendly. She's 33 years old, and she looks like she's probably 18. I'm dead serious. You don't believe me? Go look at her. And also, you don't believe me? Go look at her Instagram too, because her Instagram is linked on that show. And she is absolutely stunning. When she dresses herself, she was dressed down. She tried to, dress in overalls and look like Chucky, like a Chucky doll, right? Because she was goofing and everything. It was like her second or third time back. She brought peanut butter and jelly, like a goober grape thing, whatever, for Chris Pogson. Like she put in some time and energy and some insight to go, I'm going to get these guys this and this and this. I'm going to come on there. It's going to be fun. And I wish I could have interacted with her a little bit more than I did, because all these other loudmouth little rat bitches were just going on and on and on. And so I'm hoping I'll be able to talk with her next time I'm out there in May. I told her if she's out there, then I would definitely like to have her on the show, or maybe do something with her just to talk to her, because again, she's like this. She's 33, so she's a motivated buyer, right? But she just seemed like she got it, right? And she's no kids, no nothing. She's single, whatever. But like she gave me hope. I was like, this one right here of all these girls. Let's see. Oh, what did you say? I've noticed recently how women take it personally. There isn't enough representation or recognition in an interest group. Why is there a need to make a new group with a feminine only focus? I don't think that there is, but that's part of the sisterhood uber alles. Anything that benefits women and womankind is always what gets prioritized. It could be anything. By the way, that could be anything too. All right, I'm just going to rifle through these because we're getting a little late on time here. I want to make sure everybody gets to say what they wanted to say. Okay, yeah, okay. I talked to Vincent. I talked about that. Bane, I got to you. Dave, got to you. David Jones, I got to you. Samishi, I got to you. Newbie Crypty, my girl making me a sandwich, got to you. Mike Basam, thank you for that sticker. Newbie Crypty, I got to you as well. Cool Silver, I've noticed. Okay, I got to you. Sleepy Joe, where are you, Sleepy Joe? Oh, there you are, Sleepy Joe. Oh, or not. Soldier for Christ. Would you agree that paying for a date while letting her choose the place would be having responsibility without authority? Paying is then simping. It's simping if there's no reciprocation. Okay. One of the things that Croatia girl Coco was saying was that you don't like. I think this same topic came up on Fresh and Fit as well. There would be no date in the first place unless there is some genuine interest. So it's not even so much about like who's going to pay for the date, right? As it is, how did you get to the point where you're going to go on that date? So if you're already approaching that engagement, that meeting that girl, how did you meet that girl? Well, most likely it was online, or maybe you met her at a club. She saw how cool you were on Instagram and decided to go out with you. All right. So there, in that process, there's the attraction and the arousal process. Unfortunately, that only gets like stoked online these days. Is he cool enough? Is he hot enough? Do I really want to get with this guy? Or is the visual imagery of this guy on Instagram good enough for me to want to get with? Same thing for women. I talked about this on the Fresh and Fit podcast on Friday with the girls. Was that Instagram is always sexualized. It's nothing but bikini shots. It's nothing but lingerie shots. I mean, go look at the average girl between the ages of 18 and 28 and look at her Instagram. Hell, they can be even like 30, 34. They're still trying to advertise their sexuality no matter what. It's always sexy pictures. And even if it's not all that, it's mostly that. Here's the bikini shot. Here's the ass shot. Here's the lingerie shot. Here's me in the gym in my cute little, yoga pants kind of thing. Anything that can sexualize, because women understand that sexuality is their only real agency. Okay. How does that influence when you go from being attracted and aroused by that chick to going on the date? So is it simping? I don't know. What is the pre-established context that you have from the time you see her and you go, I want to get with that? Are you already taking a subservient, like, oh, I'm going to do anything for you, baby? If that's your mentality going into the date, then yeah, it would be considered simping. But again, what happens before you even get to the date? Okay. So would you agree that paying for the date while letting her choose the place would be having responsibility without authority? I would say this: don't let her choose where to go. You're the guy and you're the initiator. Especially if you're paying for the date. You say, in fact, I've said this before. This is old school game 101. It's like, here, I'm going to this place. Why don't you come and join me? Let's go to do this. I've got to go do this. And then afterwards we'll go over here. I'll meet you here after I finish up this business deal. And I'm going to meet you at this great new place. And we're going to go, I don't know, salsa dancing, to throw air in a bone, right? Something that's fun. And if she's not down to do what you want to do, that's fun, then that's fine. Then you're on to the next thing. She has to comply or goodbye, right? That's Andrew Tate. I'm plagiarizing Andrew Tate. Comply or goodbye. This is what I want to do. And if you're into it, then come. If not, then, it's all right. I'm spinning other plates. When guys get upset? When they're not spinning other plates, when that one girl is their only option and they lose their shit. Keep going up. Sarah Davis, I gotta read your wait a minute.
Say my name.
There you go.
Hey, y'all.
You've been living rent free in my head as well. I know. As well. Sounds like I should start a recovery group. You were right about Michaela. Shocked me.
Tell that bitch to be cool. Say, bitch, be cool.
That's what I'm going to tell Michaela next time. I love you too, Sarah. Sarah's one of my groupies. I have a very short, small group of groupies. Not that you would know anything about. Not that anybody would know anything about that, right? Who's my groupies? Not Croatia chick. Stop it. No, she's not a groupie. Here, I'll show you my groupies. Would you like to see my groupies? Here's my groupies. Pull these guys up. Here's my groupies. So where'd they go? There we go. These are my groupies. These are groupies from one night. See if I can pull them up. Here's my groupies. I totally didn't intend to do this. You know, it's funny is like Chris was like, you got to make your facial expressions, you know, look shocked because that makes for a good thumbnail. This was the thumbnail for the thing. And oh, by the way, Chucky's right next to me on my immediate left. And then Canada prisoner, sugar baby, sugar mama is next to her. There you go. Those are my groupies. Let's see. Am I living rent free in your head? I certainly hope so. Sleepy Joe, thank you for the advice. I was told a jack of all trades is a master of none. I always thought until now, master of one thing at a time. No, let me explain something to you, Sleepy Joe. I'm glad you brought up that nice little aphorism. Here's my aphorism. Jack of all trades, master of some. That should be your attitude. Not master. Don't do that. Master of some. That's where I'm at. There's a lot. Shit. You think I'm a master at this? I'm not a master at this whatsoever. I've mastered guitar. I've mastered a lot of things in my life. I'm still trying to figure this shit out. Here's a secret. I'm making this shit up as I go along. Master of some. Jack of all trades, master of some. Lover of all. Rollo, do you ever come to Canada? I would love to come to Canada. I've been meaning to make a trip up there to go see Rich and Ryan for a while. And maybe now that it's not an Eastern Bloc country anymore, like Eastern Germany, and I can cross the border without being shot, maybe I'll go. I'd love to. John, in my mind, okay, why so many want to debate you is because they're hoping to corner you, your motives, your distractions from the point, distract you from the point, or if they can argue facts, argue. They can't argue the facts, argue the law. Okay, yes, because really what that is I've said this before. It's the difference between arguing with a believer and arguing with an empiricist. It's belief versus empiricism. It's emotion versus reason. And so when people get very upset with me and they fixate on me and they have OCD about the things that I do, they never are specific. Like, for instance, when they say, well, you know, I heard Rollo's book doesn't have any sources cited. Well, wouldn't you know, Michaela, because you read it in high school, right? Wrong. We know that was a lie. But I would presume that somebody who is so well versed in my book would know about that. Is there or is there not? I don't know. You've never read it. You didn't even know that I had a series of books. You just went and fired off whatever bullshit came out of your mouth because it felt good or bad or whatever. Yeah, that's true. You can't argue the facts. So. And again, show me where I'm wrong in my work. I'm happy to have that debate, but nobody ever does. Or they make straw men and they try to say I said something that I didn't say. I saw a lot of sources in the book. Thank you. I genuinely don't understand why people are complaining. I'm on book 3 now. Excellent books. Thank you. Well, and even if there's a principle or if I give you an answer and I don't show my work, right? If I say, here's the answer to the calculus problem, but I'm not going to show you my work. Then they go, I think you're wrong about this calculus problem. Okay. Ask me about it and I'll show you my work. Here are some studies. Here's everything that I talk about. I can't be that comprehensive all the time. And when I am comprehensive, people go, he really likes to hear the sound of his voice. What is it? You want me to show my work or do you not want me to show my work? Yes. Yes, I do. Followed your advice, spent 3 weeks in Thailand. Nice. Philippines. There you go. I know about Thailand. That sounds kind of sketchy. Philippines is great though. Life-changing. Now all I do is save, retire, and live there. 54, divorced, no kids, 2 years divorced. Is that crazy thinking? No. What's crazy thinking is stop ceasing to do what you want to do. It's called ikigai, right? Japanese, right? It's the will to live or the purpose, the reason for being, right? When you stop living is when you stop doing. Keep doing. Stay hungry, my friend. I was JK because you talk about, okay. Well, I would like to go to Connecticut. I'll go to Connecticut. I liked Connecticut, at least the parts I saw. I probably wouldn't like other parts of it, I'm sure. I asked the previous question, concluding that paying is only half the frame you want to get to enter. Coco Girl seemed like the type to only accept high dollar places. Therefore, it would be her frame, not yours, if you ever paid. Yeah, but here's the thing though. Are you going to, she's not even consider you if she doesn't think that you're going to be the one who can actually pay for those high dollar places. That's what I meant by in the first place. Is like, remember when everybody gave Fresh shit for like talking to girls and seeking arrangements? I didn't give him shit for that because I know how that stuff works. He's not a sugar daddy, but the women who are on there are looking for a certain type of guy. The guy who's paid, who's got this, and they understand the game when they get into it. It's not like some country bumpkin chick that's going, I'm some fat chick with tats on my legs and I'm going to go find me a Justin Waller. They already know that that's not going to happen. And Justin, the type of guys who would be on there, they know they're not going to get with it. So it's not productive. It doesn't even enter their thought process. But when you put yourself into that environment, into that context, then that's what is expected. Again, congruency. Is it congruent with the expectations, right? My friend she has a boyfriend. Insta is filled with bikini shots, of course. Usually I comment on her body parts. She says, thanks. And suddenly 2 days back, she says she has a boyfriend. It's inappropriate. Oh yeah, sure. That's the boyfriend disclaimer. That's, I know you too well. Stop commenting on me. That's what that is. She has a boyfriend for 4 years. Great. Does that at all sound duplicitous to you? Does to me. Sam, thank you for that $100, my friend. Much, much appreciated. I don't want to use that too much here.
Kowalski, analysis.
That's my favorite one, actually. Any advice on older men? I'm 67 and would like some companionship as I get old and decrepit. I'm glad you asked me that. I'm actually talking to, like, first of all, I don't know what your situation is, Carson Depp. Do get in touch with me. I hate to say I specialize in guys who are older, but like I've had like Robert Kiyosaki is probably the highest profile guy that I know, and he's 75 that I talk and I work with, and we're not even like, it's not like I have some counseling thing with him. It's just we're friends now. But I could tell you the same thing I told him. Get in touch with me. I'll be happy to do one-on-one with you. And that is that. I think we are all caught up. Thank you very much for watching today. We are almost at the 4-hour mark, and I told myself I wouldn't go this long. Thanks for watching today. I will be in Lake Tahoe. I am, if you are part of the Patreon group, I'm going to do our Zoom call from Tahoe. It'll be I'll be doing it on Wednesday. And that is really all I have for you. Go out and get the book. If you want to get into the Red Pill Lions Discord, you can see the link is down below. I will be doing book signings in Tahoe on Tuesday at 2:00 at the Starbucks in downtown South Lake, Tahoe. I'm just going to be there. If you show up, I'll be happy to sign for you. I'm just going to go there and have a cup of coffee for a couple hours. So come down and chat. Bring your book. I don't have books with me. You'll have to bring your own if that's what you want to do. If you aren't done, that's fine. But I'm going to be doing some live streams and just some Instagram stuff. I just want to go fish. I need to take a break. I need a freaking vacation after 500 pages of this. So I will be up there with the dogs and the wife and be hanging out and having a good time. So it's just to sort of relax, but I'll probably do a few little things here and there. So there you go. And let's see. Oh, Rule Zero will be back on Saturday next week. I'm going to host it. So I will be hosting Rule Zero next Saturday. Do check that out. And then also one last thing that I wanted to throw out here that I haven't said yet is, and I will do the Amber Heard thing once the trial has settled. If you really want me to do a breakdown of the Michaela thing with Vincent, I'll be happy to do that. Just I can leave it a comment and say, I really want you to do that. Fine. So anyways, I'll be doing that, and I will most definitely keep scamming those guys. Yep. Let's keep on scamming. That's me. Keep scamming, guys. So do go and pick up the book. Tell me what you think. Tell me if you want me to show you the work. I'll be happy to, right? Tell me if you think this is a scam. Tell me if you think this doesn't have any kind of intrinsic value. Tell me tell me where I got the problem wrong, and I'll be happy to have that talk with you. So there you go. All right, guys. I'll talk to you later. Thanks for joining me. Bye.